Hello and welcome to wherever you are tuning in from around the world. We are live in Hong Kong, China for the second round of the UCI Track Nations Cup. First round was a month ago in Adelaide. They will finish off the 3-event series next month in Milton in Canada. It's the second night of competition. We have a massive program in store for you this afternoon. We will be starting with the men's Omnium, first scratch race, 4 discipline races within the Omnium itself. Is the details of the velodrome itself, and close to 42% degree bankings in the bends here. Track itself, as you can see, in pristine condition. We saw some great racing on the opening night of competition last night. After we have the men's Omnium, where they're getting into the semi-finals for the elite women's sprint, down to the top 4 riders now, and then the semi-finals of the men's Keirin. So both men's and women's pure sprinters on the track again tonight. Keirin also always a fascinating event to follow. The biggest man, the fastest sprinters on the planet, going shoulder to shoulder. The endurance women will be out on the track as well for the Madison final, one of my absolute favourite events. My name is Scott McGrory, and I am looking forward to bringing you all the action here from Hong Kong tonight. As you can see, the program, we did have some youth racing again this afternoon, and then we'll have the medal ceremonies for them during the middle of the program here tonight. So great inspiration for the next generation of riders here in Hong Kong, China, to get in amongst the elite, some of the world's very best. Speaking of the world's very best, there's the world champion in the men's Omnium, getting ready for the start here. It's Luri Leitao, from Portugal. Right behind him was William Peretz, who won the elimination race last night. Really showed some incredible form, the rider from Great Britain. Graham Frisley, young Australian rider, he was in the medals also in the elimination. He'll be looking for a good result here in the men's Omnium. Jules Hesters, he was the silver medalist behind Will Perrett last night. So the youngster from Belgium also looking for a good ride. Roger Kluger, the big man from Germany, into his late 30s now, but the former multiple world Madison champion, looking to do a good result here with eyes on the Paris Olympic Games in both the Madison and the Omnium, perhaps, for Roger Kluger. The Omnium itself, 4 disciplines, starting with the scratch race, then we'll have the tempo event, then the elimination, and then finishing off with a points race. All of the riders, as they cross the line, racing for points here. So it'll be conducted as a normal scratch race, but first place across the line will get 40 points, and then so on and so forth down to the last riders across the line. So you really have to fight for position, regardless of where you are coming to that final sprint, to make sure you maximise the amount of points that you get. Could come back to be a real benefit later in the event. So we're underway. 40 laps of the track, 10 kilometres, the opening discipline within the 4-race Omnium series. Aaron Gate, the points race world champion from New Zealand, on the front. Another rider that will be looking to get a very good Omnium series under his belts. He didn't ride the final last night in the team pursuit, so saving his legs perhaps for the Omnium here tonight. Very important in terms of Olympic quota positions. The top 10 nations in the team pursuit at the end of the Milton World Cup in the overall rankings will be allowed a starter in the Olympic Omnium and also a team in the Madison. If you're not in the top 10, your nation is not in the top 10 in the team pursuit, then you can qualify individually through these Nations Cups and some of the continental championships as well. So very important for the riders that are in nations that aren't in the top level of the team pursuit rankings to do well in these Nations Cup Omniums. Peter Moore from USA goes through. Tempo just pretty cruisy for now as Frisley goes through and up as well. Tobias Hansen from Denmark, likewise. So short turns of pace by these riders, no one wanting to spend too much time on the front. There's the Olympic team pursuit champion, Francesco Lamon from Italy. Likewise, up and out of the way, not wasting energy. And there's perhaps the tallest man in the field, Roger Kruger, the big German, multiple times world Madison champion. Once again, Aaron Gate on the front. Second turn of pace for Aaron Gate. 33 laps to go. And the pace going on just a little bit more now. You can see the peloton stretching out. No gaps forming as such. But just that little bit of extra pressure on the pedals. Hashimoto from Japan, also a good rider to look out for in this one. And the world champion, Leitao, he won the scratch race in the Omnium at the World Championships in Glasgow. He then also won the tempo race, so 2 wins from 2 starts to kick off that discipline, that event at the World Championships. He was then second in the elimination, so he had such a great points advantage going into that final points race that he had to really just race in a defensive mode to get himself the rainbow stripes as the world champion. Fantastic performance. Has been a 3-time European scratch race champion as well, Lurie. So he knows how to do very well in these scratch races to kick things off well for himself in the Omnium. He comes from Viana do Castelo in Portugal.
Into the final tonight. So quite a number of laps for all of our riders here in the elite men's.
Kluger again, then it's the world champ on the front.
So
short turn from him and up out of the way.
In the medals, if you want to be winning this bike
Widstum from Switzerland.
So important to be highly consistent in these first
so 28 laps to go, no attacks just yet.
And the tempo race.
Very nervous opening laps in the men's Omnium.
In the top 5 places in each of those, if you're serious about getting yourself on the podium later tonight. The elimination race, as we see every time.
Peter Moore from the US, so 2 riders from America, Colby Lang, also riding for the trade team, and Peter Moore in the typical USA Stars and Stripes. Lamont comes through, Aaron Gate following him. And the first little move, Hashimoto perhaps off the front, just slightly, and then swings up, comes back into the peloton. So not a real effort to go on the attack, just found himself lobbed a few lengths off the front. Aya Hashimoto. Daniel Christa, Le Mans comes through. Hesters from Belgium after him. Aaron Gate once more. And Sebastian Mora, I've noticed a couple of times now, swinging up from second position, always following the rider as he gets into position number 2. He just follows that first rider as they swing up the track. He has not put his nose into the wind at all just yet. Not that there's much wind in here. Fantastic facility. Just outside the track itself, when you go down into the outer areas of the external part of the velodrome, they do have hanging plastic curtains that are magnetised to keep the wind from coming in or out. So they've got a fantastic climate in here. There's no breeze that comes in from open doors outside, and they have been able to really control the temperature and climate. Of course, this track built for the 2017 World Championships, and the first of our real attacks now. 20 laps to go. And we have 5 riders trying to come together off the front of the peloton, and you can see the field themselves really starting to string out now. Oscar Nielsen it was that went on the attack for France, and he has dragged 3 riders with him. Lamont is there, and we can see Peter Moore fighting hard to try and come across. This is a big effort from Peter Moore from the USA. If he can get there, the peloton are trying to chase a little bit more now. If they can work well together, there's a real chance that they can steal the show in this opening scratch race of the men's Omnium. And the crowd are getting behind Peter Moore because he has been able to bridge the gap. That was a really strong performance from him. But now they're a little bit messy up there as well, as Lemon has swung up. The Italian swung up and got out of the way. So he's going to come back to the peloton. Oscar Nielsen is still out there, the man that really did force the tempo. It's Colby Lang in that multicolored blue and yellow jersey that's with him. So the two Americans are off the front, 15 laps to go. But as you can see, not tight in formation. So they're all expending a lot of energy. Solid ride from Nielsen from France. Keeps driving the pace. Lang in second, and now Moore. But he is going to be forced to have to come through and waste some more energy. He was just hoping to get a little bit of a rest on the back of the three riders out in front, but it's not going to happen. And you can see really starting to struggle because he's put in such a big effort to this point. Quickly up and out of the way now. Peter Moore, hopefully he can get some rest as they go down the back straight. Sizable gap over the main field. And once the gap gets to this amount, it's roughly half a lap now that they have over the peloton. Then the peloton themselves start thinking about racing for the rest of the points on offer. If it was a world championship and was for the medals, then it might be a different scenario, but they know that fourth place points are still up for grabs, 3 more disciplines to come. And they are not too far from gaining a lap on the peloton. So the rider that really did lose out was Francesco Lemon. He was out there with them, swung up and went back to the field, and he's now seeing his former breakaway compatriots about to get to the back of the field. Another attack has gone off the front. It's from the world champion as well. So our 3 breakaway riders not too far from the back of the peloton. They're inside the final 10 laps now. But a big move from Leitao, the world champion, and he has taken Graham Frisley with him, focusing on the 3 riders that are trying to win this opening discipline of the Omnium, the scratch race. Back of the peloton, just going out of shot. Oscar Nielsen really has been driving this. Colby Lang with a short turn of pace. So both the Americans really starting to struggle a little bit. They're relying a lot on Oscar Nielsen from France. So 3 riders off the front, just about to gain a lap on the field. They will fill the placings if it stays like this. However, there is a group of 4 that are the length of the straight in front of the peloton, also coming around, chasing this group of 3. But they'll come around to get 5 laps to go, and the catch is about to be made. So 3 riders have gone ahead of the peloton 1 lap up. They'll be racing for the top points at the end of this. But they may have a group of 4 that are not too far from joining them as well. Well, maybe I've spoken too soon. Just as they were onto the back of the bunch, the 2 Americans, Moore and Lang, really starting to struggle and going off the back, and it's only Oscar Nielsen from France that has made contact. So 1 rider has gone 1 up. Still struggling with riders that are forming gaps at the back. 3 laps to go. Peloton split all around the velodrome here in Hong Kong, China. So the lap has been gained. Oscar Nielsen, the lone rider off the front of the peloton. He's just gone off the back of the peloton, but he did actually gain that lap. I'm pretty sure they have given those 3 riders, they have, you can see on the left, into the bell lap now. So we have our 3 riders that will be racing for first, second and third. We can focus on them as to see who the placings will be. But the world champion Louis Leitao and Graham Frisley are trying to come around to finish off the best they can. And Aaron Gate will get 4th place as we see the 3 of our top riders that took a lap on the field come through, and it will be the Frenchman that will get the win. So Oscar Nielsen finishes ahead of Moore and Colby Lang. So the Americans 2nd and 3rd. So there's our 2nd place getter here in the scratch race. It got a bit messy at the end. But with the 3 riders that had taken a lap, they were the ones we were focusing on for 1st, 2nd and 3rd. And then we can see Aaron Gate, Kojima, Leitao and Frisley, the top 3 riders from the peloton in that final sprint. Huge effort there from Peter Moore, as was the performance here from from Oscar Nielsen. So he gets the 40 points for winning the opening scratch race of the 4-discipline Omnium series. Big attack there from the world champion in the final 10 laps. Didn't capture too much of that on the footage as we were focusing on the 3 riders trying to win the race, but it was a big split in the peloton that Lurie was able to cause. And that's where the Frenchman got the win. 40 points for him, so he set himself up to go well here in the Omnium. Tempo race is the next one that they will have. Then it's the elimination and finishing with the points race. And you can see the super narrow handlebars there on the bike of Colby Lang. 3rd place for him. Aaron Gate led the peloton home in 4th place. Then it was Naoki Kojima in 5th, the world champ. Lurie Leitao in 6th, Graham Frisley in 7th, then Jules Hesters in 8th, Aya Hashimoto 9th, and Arango from Colombia rounding out the top 10. 22 points for 10th place, and 40 points, of course, for Nielsen for being the first rider in the scratch race. You can see how difficult this Omnium series is. Race like that, as hard as they did the second half of that, then they've got to come out and do the tempo event. Then it's the elimination, which we had the individual elimination race last night. And if you were tuning in, if you haven't watched cycling before, you've got a very quick education on how difficult the elimination is. And then, of course, they finish with the hardest race, in my opinion, on the velodrome, which is the points race. It's a really difficult 4-discipline event, the Omnium. Big effort you can see on the face there from Colby Lang. Won't be long and they have to come back out and do it all again in the men's tempo. Next race on the track, though, we're into the semi-finals of the women's sprints. And we have the current world champion, Emma Finucane from Great Britain, up against Leah Sophie Friedrich. And this is the Glasgow rematch. Looking forward to that as we see Colby Langer struggling to get himself back into the pits area. And they'll get on the rollers, the home trainers, and just try and roll their legs out a little bit and keep themselves moving as we see confirmation. Oscar Nielsen from France getting the 40 points in the race win ahead of Moore and Lang. Then it's Aaron Gate, Kojima, Leitao, Frisley, Hesters. And Sebastian Mora, as I did mention, he's a very experienced and intelligent racer. Didn't push his face into the wind very much at all, but then didn't maximise that performance. You'd be a bit disappointed with that one. Still plenty of opportunities to come with 3 more races in that men's Omnium. Semi-finals now for the women's sprint. Finucane versus Friedrich. Great Britain versus Germany. And this is the Glasgow World Championships from last year rematch. Gold and silver medal in Glasgow. And a sensational victory for Finucane. Leah Friedrich had to beat Emma Hinze, former sprint world champion, and her teammate from Germany in the quarterfinals to get into this race up against Emma Finucane. There's the world champ, the fantastic Lotus Hope bike, versus the very well-known, been around for a long time, the FES branded bike from Germany. Lap and a half to go. This is the first in the best of 3 competition in the women's sprint semi-finals. And the world champion, fastest qualifier, really showing great form here in Hong Kong. And as they come to the final lap, it is Friedrich that will lead. Bit of work for Finucane to do to come up around the outside, but she has the speed and the power, almost a touch of wheels as they went into the final bend. And Friedrich is really fighting back on the inside, and well, very tight indeed as they got to the line. We'll wait for the photo finish, but Leah Friedrich really did a great job to force Finucane all the way down to the finish line. Oh, that's really tight. Half a metre from the finish, it was Friedrich that still had her wheel in front. So the judges focusing on the photo, and they have given it to Leah Sophie Friedrich. So the world champion has a bit of work to do if she wants to get herself back into the race for the medals. This is the women's semi-final, of course. And somewhat of a slight upset there with Leah Friedrich getting the win in the first round here against Emma Finucane. Great racing from the ladies. Friedrich is an 8-time world champion in multiple disciplines. Wow, that is tight. Be a millimetre or two in it. They will reverse positions on the start line when they come out for the second race. So Finucane will have the opportunity to have a right from the front if she chooses to do so. Heat number 2 now. Mathilde Gros from France, former world champion in the sprint, up against Hetty van der Waal. And Hetty beat Sophie Capewell in the quarterfinals, who was the 3rd fastest qualifier. So tactically brilliant racing from Hetty from the Netherlands. And Mathilde Gros, what a big year it is for her with the Paris Olympic Games coming up. The 24-year-old, 2022 sprint world champion. Similar age, Gros 24, van der Waal 25. Spoke of the equipment with Finucane and Friedrich, and we see here the new look bike that has been developed for the French team from the French company for the Olympic Games. Fantastic looking machine. And the more traditional looking Koga bike that has served the Dutch sprinters so well in recent years. Might not look quite as fancy, but it's certainly fast. End of lap 1, 3 laps of the velodrome here, 750 metres of racing. Heat number 2, women's semi-final of the sprint, and this is the first in the best of 3 race. And Mathilde Gros, the former world champion from France, leads the way as they come down to the bell, and giving an enormous amount of distance here. Hetty van der Waal from the Netherlands, but into the slipstream. She's closed that gap down incredibly fast, right up around the outside of Mathilde Gros. Gros fighting back to try and keep herself in the hunt for this one, but she gets over the top. So Hetty van der Waal tactically riding incredibly well. She did it in the quarterfinals, now she's doing it here in the semis. One up against the former world champion Mathilde Gros.
So 2 rides in the semi-finals already, and the seeds have been reversed.
Well, the semi-finals so far going against the rankings. So the 2 faster riders from the qualifying this morning, Emma Finucane and Mathilde Gros, with a bit of work to do to get themselves back in this race, up against Leah Friedrich and Hetty van der Waal. Still close, but quite comfortable compared to the race between Finucane and Friedrich. Finucane and Gros both with an opportunity. They must win the next race in the women's semi-finals to force a deciding battle to make their way into the race for gold and silver. But certainly lining up to be an amazing sprint competition here in the semi-finals for the women. Men's Keirin now. So from the pure female sprinters to the pure sprinters, the male format. And this is the semi-finals of the men's Keirin. Jeffrey Hoogland from the Netherlands coming up, big man. Equally the oldest riders in the race here. In the next race, Matthew Glaetzer is the same age as Jeff, 31 years of age, both incredibly experienced riders. And Hoogland, of course, last year broke the 10-year-old world kilometre time trial record. He went to Aguascalientes in Mexico and rode an incredible 55.433 from a standing start over 1 kilometre. Just an extraordinarily fast time from the big man from the Netherlands. Matthew Richardson for Australia. This is Martin Tjechman from Czechia. There's Hoogland, the Olympic team sprint champion. 9 times a world champion, Hoogland. Such an experienced rider. Rides in position number 3 in the Dutch team sprint team. So these longer sprints that are in the Keirin, much better suited to the big man from the Netherlands than the pure straight up sprints. And Matthew Richardson beside him, one of the pre-race favourites. Top 3 riders going through into the race for the medals. So plenty of opportunity to get themselves into the final. But as we've seen so many times in Keirin's of past, there's a lot of fighting that goes on. Ansu Tasovit from Thailand, sandwiched in between Hoogland and Richardson. Here's Nicholas Paul, the fastest sprinter ever. He has the world record over 200 metres, 9.1 seconds. Keirin Ota, the 24-year-old from Okayama in Japan. And there's Martin Tjechman. He was second in the Keirin at the Junior World Championships way back in 2016, Tjechman. 6 laps of the track, 3 behind the Derny motorcycle, and then the final 3 laps, they are let loose. Men's Keirin semi-final, heat number 1. First 3 riders to go through to the final. And they will line up. Tjechman first, then Ota. Then it's Nicholas Paul, the 200-metre world record holder. So 2 world record holders in this race. The fastest over 200 in Nicholas Paul, and Jeff Hoogland in the orange colours of the Netherlands. Fastest man ever over 1,000 metres. In between those two, we see the Australian Matthew Richardson and also Jai Ansu Tasovit from Thailand. But he was born in Adelaide in Australia, Jai. Thai heritage. He's been riding for Thailand for a number of years now. Really good to see him here in the semi-final at the Track Nations Cup in Hong Kong, China. Keirin Ota from Japan. He won the sprint competition in Adelaide a month ago at the Track Nations Cup. He's on good form. He was 3rd in Adelaide in the Keirin as well. So 2 medals there in the individual sprint disciplines. And the bike has come off 3 laps to go. And this has been a real opportunity for Martin Tjechman. And look at the gap that has opened up. This is going to be really dangerous for a few of these riders now. Only the top 3 going through. We have Tjechman and Ota right out in front with 2 laps to go. And it may be a race for 3rd just to get themselves into the final. Nicholas Paul, that is in 3rd place. Comes around with 1 lap to go. Tjechman, surely he's going to decelerate on this final lap. He may get run down. Ota is the first man to come past. So the Japanese champ. And there's been a nasty crash down the back straight. That's really terrible to see, but Ota will come through to qualify for the final. Matthew Richardson pops over the top of Tjechman to get 2nd, and a brave ride from Martin Tjechman to hold on to 3rd and put himself into the final. And this is the world record holder, Nicholas Paul. And unfortunately, we also have Jai Ansu Tasovit also laying on the side of the track. Both riders at those speeds and that effort looking visibly hurt but conscious. That is a good sign. Well done, the 25-year-old from Czechia, Martin Tjechman. Cheeky ride to go so early, but they give you the rope, then you might as well use it. And he's made his way into the final. Very much an underdog. Race win going to Keirin Ota. He's an emerging star. The last 18 months to 2 years, he's been incredible. Already has that Nations Cup sprint win from a month ago in Adelaide, and now he's given himself every opportunity to replicate the 3rd place that he got in Adelaide in the Keirin and making his way into the final here in Hong Kong. Now, I can see that Nicholas Paul is up and walking off the track. Ansu Tissot is still laying down, though. Conscious, you can see him moving, but he's still laying down as we see the damage that has been done to Nicholas Paul. So medical staff quick to be there, making sure that everything is okay. And he unfortunately went straight over the top, landed on his back. So first rider down was Nicholas Paul, and then Jai over the top and landing pretty solidly directly on his back. Smart and powerful riding, though, for Ota. First one to react when Chichman went on the attack, and that has guaranteed himself a spot to race for the medals later tonight. Richardson, Chichman. Surprise there for Jeffrey Hoogland, the world record holder in the kilometre time trial, not going through. He'll race for 7th to 12th, but he'll be disappointed at not making the final. Good crowd in here tonight. They were quite vocal last night. Expect exactly the same. Spectacular start to the evening. Unfortunately, no one likes to see a crash, but it does come with the territory quite often in the Keirin racing. We also have the women's Madison later tonight. It's another event that does have a lot of close calls. Hopefully everyone will stay upright tonight. Medical staff still just tending to Jai to make sure that he is going to be okay before we wait for heat number 2 to come on. There's a few of the riders. Second of our Japanese riders. So they've done really well to have 2 riders into the semi-finals. That's Kento Yamasaki. He was 8th. That's the man on the left. He was 8th in the Keirin in Adelaide's Nations Cup. So a reasonable start to his season as well. Next to him from Suriname is Johnny Farr. 3 times Pan American sprint silver medalist. Each time he was beaten by Nicholas Paul, the man that went down in that previous heat. And Kwesi Brown from Trinidad and Tobago, Nicholas Paul's teammate. Having a good old laugh and chat there with Johnny Farr. The other 2 riders, well, the 3 riders, sorry, Sam Dakin from New Zealand in this second heat, as is Mikhail Yakovlev from Israel and the Australian Matthew Gleitzer.
Ladies and gentlemen, the leadership of Jai comes to time with all the best.
So the round of applause there, that is for Jai Ansu Tissot, who is being escorted off the track now, and unfortunately not under his own steam. So he's just coming off on the stretcher. They will reassess him once they get him down. At least he was conscious. And this is the riders now coming out for heat 2, men's sprint, men's Keirin semi-finals. And the blue and white colours of Israel. You can see the very tall man, Mikhail Yakovlev, 199 centimetres, or 6'6" in the old language. 23-year-old, formerly racing for Russia and then transitioned to Israel, and he was 3rd in the Keirin at the World Championships in 2021. He's only 23 now, so he's a big man. He's certainly a big man in a hurry. We talk about the world record in the flying 200 from Nicholas Paul. That was 9.1 seconds, but Yakovlev was reportedly rode a 9.09 in Moscow, but it wasn't ratified as a world record. So the big man from Israel certainly has an enormous amount of power in those legs. As Sam Dakin from New Zealand comes up here, 27-year-old from Auckland. He was 11th in the Keirin in Adelaide. There's Matthew Glaetzer, 31-year-old. World sprint champion in 2018. Two-time gold medalist in this discipline, the Keirin.
Representing Australia is Matthew Glaetzer.
So Glaetzer at the top of the track. Matt Crompton, the national coach, former British sprinter. There's another Australian that's coached there as well with the Japanese. And he was holding up Kento Yamasaki. Jason Niblett was the coach. There's Johnny Farr, Kwesi Brown, and Mikhail Yakovlev for Israel, the man we mentioned, right in the centre there next to Sam Dakin. So two of the shorter sprinters on the inside in Kwesi Brown and Johnny Farr, right next to the tallest man at the velodrome on the bike, Mikhail Yakovlev. Underway, Kwesi Brown, first rider onto the back of the motorcycle. Then it's Johnny Farr, Yakovlev, Sam Dakin, Kento Yamasaki from Japan, and at the very back, Matthew Glaetzer. Wouldn't be surprised if Glaetzer is the first to make a move when the bike comes off. Nobody wants to be in sixth position when they're at full speed coming into the last couple of laps. There's so much room to try and make up. It's so difficult from back there. Once again, the top three riders to go progress into the medal round. Look over the shoulder from Yakovlev. Sam Dakin, the first to roll up beside. And Yakovlev got a little bit caught in between there. Johnny Farr backed off to give himself some room. And Dakin right up around the outside of Brown. The bike has now come off. 2.5 laps to go now as they come down the back straight. And Sam Dakin, 27-year-old from Auckland, leads the way. Kwesi Brown, and now comes Glaetzer. We knew it was going to come from sixth position, and he's forced wide. 2 laps to go, and he has been able to get to the bottom of the track right around the outside. He can take a little bit of a breath now before he has to kick again for the final lap. Dakin in second position, hung right out to dry though is Yakovlev from Israel, and you can see it's forced him backwards. Yamasaki from Japan fighting shoulder to shoulder with Kwesi Brown, top 3 to go through. Dakin coming up over the top of Glaetzer, but Glaetzer, Dakin for sure, and Kwesi Brown finishing third. So they are the 3 that will go through into the medal round. 2 Australians have made their way in. So that's good for the Aussies. 1 New Zealander. And 4th across the line, Yamasaki, the first rider to miss out. Unlucky for him. Early commitment there from Sam Dakin. That's given himself a really good chance to get into the slipstream of Glaetzer once he came over. And you can see he stepped out. He didn't have to try and come over the top, but he was just protecting any moves from behind. And Kwesi Brown, sneakily, the 30-year-old, throwing it down the inside to make sure he finished third. So there's the placings set. Kaya Ota, Matthew Richardson, Martin Tjechman, Matthew Glaetzer, Sam Dakin, and Kwesi Brown. They are the 6 riders that will race in the men's Keirin finals tonight. Race 2 now for the women's sprint semi-finals. That Keirin final, that is going to be sensational. The big men, shoulder to shoulder, elbow to elbow, in the race for medals. Emma Finucane up against Leah-Sophie Friedrich. Friedrich one up in this best of 3 competition, so the world champion, Finucane, must win this race to force a decider. Qualifying this morning, Finucane 10.44 versus Friedrich 10.55. 0.11 difference in outright speed this afternoon, but when we get to this level, after a couple of days of racing, Does come down to tactics. Fairly close in terms of outright speed. Although Emma Finucane does have the fastest ever sea level flying 200 metres at 10.2. She did that at the World Championships in Glasgow to qualify fastest. Went on to win the rainbow bands, of course. And now she's up against it. She must beat Friedrich this time to force a decider. The outright world record for over 200 metres, that's Kelsey Mitchell. Did that at the Pan Am Games in Bolivia in 2019. 10.15 is that time. For now, it's not about the time, it's about tactics. Who can get to the line first? Emma Finucane and Leah Friedrich. Great Britain versus Germany. Race number 2 in the women's semi-final. Friedrich was very strong from position number 1. Leading into that final lap in the first race. Seems somewhat content though to be in position 2 this time around. And Finucane indicating that she's quite happy to take control here from the front. Didn't work last time to come around the outside. Leading out might be a better option for her. Diving down the inside, Friedrich. They'll come around to get the bell this time. Do or die for Finucane. She must win to stay in the hunt for the medals. And the world champion down the back straight. Friedrich in the slipstream. Can she close things down and then at least get up around the outside? That's been so difficult to do in the sprints. And the world champion, Emma Finucane, looks very strong down the finish. So she gets the second race. There will be a decider between these two. The gold and silver medalists from the World Championships last year. And they are not disappointing here in Hong Kong at the Track Nations Cup. Deciding race, that's coming up soon. Taking control of that first position. Not as close as it was with Finucane coming from behind in the first race, but not quite getting there. Doesn't matter how you get to the line first, as long as you do. Fascinating battle between last year's top 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, we go back to heat number 2 of the men's
Heat number 2 for the women's sprint now, and it's Mathilde Gros up against Hetty van der Waal.
C6 relegation.
Great ride by Hetty to get that first win over the former world champ.
Relegation, Japanese rider.
Former world champion Gregory Bourget, national coach for France. A great advice coming to these riders from the previous generation's best athletes. Hetty the first to come up onto the track for the Netherlands.
In the orange jersey of the Netherlands, and the winner of ride number 1, please welcome Hetty van der Waal and their opponent. With the square the ledger from France, this is Mathilde Gros.
進行緊嘅就係女子爭先賽總決賽第2組第2盤嘅比賽。
Nod of the head from Hetty, indicating both riders being asked the question, are you ready to go? They are indeed, and we're on to race 2 in the second heat of the women's sprint semi-finals. Mathilde Gros versus Hetty van der Waal. Must-win race for Mathilde Gros. Very slow first half lap now completed. Obligation for the rider that draws position number 1 to at least lead at walking pace for the first half lap. After that point, they are allowed to slow right down and try and force the rider in second position to come to the front if they want to. Doesn't look as if Hetty is too bothered with that at the moment. 2 laps to go now. in a fantastic position. Hetty van der Waal wins this, and she's going to race for the gold or silver. Big effort required, though, from Mathilde Gros, the former world champion. She's been at the very, very top of the world a couple of years ago. Now she's fighting just to stay in this and force a decider as they come into the final lap now. And it's van der Waal that leads. Big gap, a couple of lengths. Back to Mathilde Gros. Out of the saddle, both these riders once more. Now she's up into the back wheel. It's a long way up around the outside, and it's a long straight to try and get to the line as well, and I think she did. I think Mathilde Gros got there.
That will be another photo finish. I think possibly this time, yes indeed, the French rider, Mathilde Gros.
And they have given it to
again in both semi-final races here, so we will be coming
against the second race win
for both of our rides here in the women's semi-final series.
So wow, what a great comeback there for Mathilde Gros, forcing a decider. So both semi-finals have been absolutely fantastic. We get to see 3 races in the semi-finals. Makes it quite fair as well that they're all having to race 3 times before going into the medal races. So somewhat comfortable win there by tonight's standards for Mathilde Gros to force a deciding race. Confirmation. That's amazing. Fantastic women's sprinting here. So close, hard-fought battles. The men's Omnium riders, they kick things off to start with their scratch race, and now they're back onto the track for the tempo. See the overall standings with a solid performance from Oscar Wilson from France, getting the 40 points for winning the scratch race. We saw the look on the face of Colby Lang when he came off the track after the scratch race. Now he's back out there again, so I hope he has recovered. They're all in the same boat, of course, but I think both the American riders, Lang and Moore, did have to dig a little bit deeper than a few of the others out there. So let's hope that they can recover quickly, get themselves ready for the tempo. So the format of the tempo race, they'll get 4 laps. 40 laps to start with. They'll have the first 4 laps where there are no points on offer, and then every lap after that there is 1 point for only the first rider across the line. Sounds straightforward, but it can get very complicated. Tactically, we've seen it so many times, one rider going on the attack very early, and with no points up for second or third, there's a lot of hesitation that often creeps in the main field. The gap then opens up, and then they gobble up all those points out in front. They take a lap on the field, they will get 20 points added to their total. So this can get very complicated, this race. We'll do our best to try and make it as clear-cut as possible, but it's such a difficult race. You put in a huge effort against another rider for a sprint, finish second, you get nothing but sore legs for your efforts. There's the current leader, number 22, Oscar Nielsen. Aaron Gate from New Zealand, he was the best of the rest. He was the best of the rest, Aaron Gate, finishing 4th place.
Omnium tempo race, this is race 2 of 4. Confirmed the winner of the scratch race, Oscar Nielsen, Julian of France, and Peter Moore. Colby Lang, Aaron Gate, Naoki Kojima, Yuri Latau, Brian Frisley, Jules Hestes, Aya Hashimoto, Jay Arengo. Then we had Sebastian Moore, Tim Walker, Will Parrott, Simon Bistel from Switzerland, Tobias Hansen, Francesca Lamont, then Bernard Van Hart, Roger Kuliger.
Riders still coming around to get themselves in formation, perhaps tactically taking as much time as they possibly can to get a little bit of extra recovery after the first scratch race. There's the world champ, Yuri Leitão, 25-year-old from Viana do Castelo in Portugal. He won the tempo and also the scratch race in the opening 2 races at the World Championships last year that he went on to win the World Championship stripes. So let's see how he goes this time. Denis Rugovac, it was from Czechia at the back of the peloton. Recently returning from a long stint in Australia, Rugovac, after riding the Track Nations Cup in Adelaide. And last weekend, he and Jan Vonnes, the 2 riders that stayed on for Czechia, raced in the Bendigo Madison, an 80-kilometre Madison race in town that I live in Bendigo. Put in a solid performance there as well. So good form. They've had good training in great weather in Australia. So let's see how Denis Rugovac can go now here in this tempo. Starting in the finishing order from the first race. So a slight advantage there for the 3 that took the lap in the scratch race to be in the first 3 positions as they come through. So 40 laps in total. They spend the first 4 laps with no points at all until they are getting 1 point across the line. And this is what often happens. And really good to see it coming from Peter Moore from the USA. He put in such a big effort in that scratch race to get himself in 2nd position. So he's 2nd overall. And he's opened up a nice gap here. So no points on offer just yet. They will sound the bell to indicate once the point is on offer. But every time across the line, 1 point to the tally. And when the gap opens up quickly like this, as I said earlier, it just seems to create a lot of hesitation back in the main field. Nobody wants to waste energy in chasing one rider if they're not going to get to him and catch the point. So 37 laps, he'll come around to get 36 laps to go. And he's almost a half a lap on the field. And here we go, the sound of the bell. So from here on in, it's 1 point per lap to the first rider across the line. And Peter Moore will take the early lead once he comes around. So it's been a big effort to get this far in front of the field. And he'll want to try and stay out there for as many laps as he possibly can. If not, also take a lap on the field. So there's the first point going to Peter Moore. You can see visibly starting to labour a little bit now. It was a big effort to get off the front. But he's not too far from the field. The one real tactic the peloton do have, if they don't try and chase him down, is to back right off and force him to take a lap. At least then, with him back into the field, he'll get 20 points added to his tally for getting a lap gain. But at least the point comes back on offer for the first rider across the line from the peloton again. So there's another point going to the tally. 3 laps he's been off the front during these points allocation laps. And you can see he's not desperately trying to get to the back of the field now. It becomes a real tactical race between the individual that wants to stay out there for another couple of laps to maximise the advantage for being out there, but also make sure that he's close enough to close the gap, guaranteeing that you get the 20 points for the lap gain. Not much more the peloton can do other than just back right off. It's like herding cats to get a field to do everything you want them to do, though. So he's just drifted up the track a little bit. Another couple of points, so he's on 5, and there's been an attack off the front. So he might desperately need to close this gap here because the peloton is starting to string out, and Peter Moore will need to close the gap now, otherwise he'll be in danger of getting dropped. And there it is, close the gap down. So 6 laps across the finish line, picking up 6 points, and now the lap gain as well. So he'll go to 26. And the first point to the rest goes to Jules Hesters from Belgium. Now they haven't given him, now they have. So 26 points, we can see the top left. The challenge though for Peter Moore is he got onto the back of the field and Denis Rugovac has gone off the back. So again, desperately trying to get to the back of the peloton. He still has that lap gain and the 20 points, but he wants to stay in the field here because if he does lose a lap, he'll take 20 points off his total. So as I said, can get complicated, the tempo race. For now, Peter Moore leads the way on 26. Then you've got Hesters, Perret and Hashimoto picking up a point each. Now Aaron Gate with 1 point. As we get closer towards the finish, if you haven't got any points at all, then it's like a scratch race format. It's where you cross the line as to what position and what points you get for the overall race. So really desperate for riders that have no points or are on equal points to sprint for that final lap. Great tempo here, really fast race. Tobias Hansen from Denmark, desperately coming around. He'll pick up a point now. He was quickly to swing up and drop into second position as well behind Tim Wuffler. Oh, not Wuffler, sorry, it's Van Aerts, Indonesia. Now there's the overall leader, the winner from the scratch race. Oscar Nilsson, he wants a high position here now as well, so he gets himself 1 point with 21 laps to go. So you can see how much you move up there. It goes up to equal third place. Hansen, the only other rider that's been able to come across the line other than Moore with multiple wins. This will be the third lap led by Nilsson. So the scratch race winner from the Omnium doing really good out in front. I mean, he really did show some amazing strength in that scratch race, and that's what we're now seeing here, backing that up with a solid performance in the tempo. High on the track behind Graham Frisley, did jump out of the peloton to try and get across to Nilsson, but the effort was too much. He's now back in the main field. And there's the world champ though. Louis Leitao has left the peloton behind. He won't get to the finish line this time in front as Nilsson picks up another point. But now Leitao comes through and he'll be hoping to pick up a point, and he comes around this time. Yet to get himself onto the board, but now he does so. 1 point across the line there for Louis. Now the bad news out in front of Aaron Gate leading this group is that Peter Moore from the USA is about to get caught. Went off the back of the peloton and there he is high on the track. So Peter Moore now being caught, he will be docked 20 points. So the big effort at the start was to no avail. He was out there for 6 laps. So he will have those points still at least on his tally. So great start for Peter Moore. He still leads, but now down to 6, losing 20 points for now being docked a lap down.
6 points for Peter Moore, still leads the bike race. So those additional 6 points.
Aaron Gate leads. Lamont down the back straight. So Gate now starting to take some control in this race. This will be the fourth time across the line for him. He stays in third place on 4 points.
He picks up another point. Peter Moore, though, the American, he got himself in the main field, he lost his lap, lost that 20 points, still leads the bike race on 6.
Now these 3 riders not too far as Lamont comes through from the back of the field. Naoki Kojima from the Bridgestone Japanese trade team. Flick of the elbows there just to let Aaron Gate know that he's going to swing up the track after he crossed the line. So they picked up a point there for Kojima, and they've just got themselves into the back of the peloton. So this is where it gets confusing for the judges. They need to determine who is in the front of the race. There was a group that were chasing behind the Aaron Gate-led group. So they'll be the new leaders on the track. So there's Aaron Gate from New Zealand, Lamont from Italy, and Kojima from Bridgestone. 9 laps to go. They've got themselves into the peloton. Fantastic riding. Now this is the group behind that with Louis Leitao, the world champion. He picked up a point when he came across the line. He's also now gone onto the back of the peloton. So another 20 points going to the tally there for Leitao, the world champ. Confirmation of the riders that have now taken a lap on the field with 7 laps to go. It's always a messy one, the tempo, but it's definitely hard and fast. And if you can concentrate and focus, it is a fascinating event. See, there's still a lot of riders on 0 points, but they will desperately be fighting out for that final sprint to come up the standings somewhat. Peloton split into two now. I'll come around to get 4 laps to go. And that was Ricardo Pina from Mexico that picked up a point. So he's determined as the leader on the track at the moment. Next time they come around, he's about to get pipped by Hansen. 2.5 laps to go, only a couple more opportunities to pick up points, and you can see how close it is, regardless of where you are in the overall standings. In this situation, they are desperate in this final lap to go for the points. Really comes down to the final position. Frisley up and over the top. Now, Graham Frisley on 0 points. He desperately needs a good result here in the end. So he'll get 1 point as he goes across the line with the bell. He has a big enough lead that he should be able to hold on around this final lap. So that'll give him 2 points. That'll put him into equal 9th. But as he comes across the line, that will guarantee that he will be in 9th position. So there's an extra point for him. So 2 points for Frisley. So that puts him up to, as we see there, moves him up to 9th overall. So recovered somewhat for the youngster from Australia. But up on top there, Aaron Gate, 24. Kojima, 23. Perrott finishes 3rd on equal 22 with the world champion, Leitao. Whew, take a deep breath after that one. Second discipline in the 4-discipline event known as the Omnium. And that was tough, really hard. Hard to focus and concentrate on where everybody was. But Aaron Gate gets the 40 points for winning the tempo race, puts himself right back in the hunt here at the Track Nations Cup in Hong Kong. So it is a points race, of course, but he is the world points race champion. Very different format than the brutal race that is the points race at world championship level that Aaron Gate won in Glasgow last year. That was a truly impressive ride at the world champs in the points race. Likewise here in the tempo. Gutsy ride there for Peter Moore from the USA, and really I feel for him after putting in such a deep effort, then getting dropped at the end and then losing the 20 points that he gained so early in the race. It's a real tough one, but you have to commend the commitment from Peter Moore to have a go so early on. Now, it did come up as Aaron Gate as the winner, but now on the scoreboard here at the Velodrome, they are saying that Oscar Nilsson got the points. So that has confirmed that he goes into the overall lead again after the scratch race. But for the tempo itself, they're also saying that he finished on 27 points with Aaron Gate on 24. Regardless, Nilsson is the overall leader with Aaron Gate in 2nd place now. So a big move up for the New Zealander. They have the elimination still to come before we do have the final points race for them. Back onto the track though, the deciding match for both of these heats, the women's sprint semi-finals. This has been a fantastic battle so far. Emma Finucane from Great Britain up against Leah Sophie Friedrich from Germany. For the 3rd and deciding race, they do draw for positions again, and Finucane getting position number 1, obligated to lead for the first half lap. If Friedrich wants to get to the front and Emma's okay with letting her, that can happen straight away.
Heat number 1, Emma Finucane. Their opponent from Germany, Sophie Friedrich.
Women's semi-finals in the sprint. This is the deciding race between Finucane and Friedrich. Great Britain versus Germany. Forget about the previous races. It's do or die now if you want to race for gold or silver. Same situation in the second heat between Mathilde Gros and Hetty van der Waal.
Between these two.
Both riders having raced the team sprints in the first day of competition. Now the multiple rounds of sprint here on day 2. The legs are starting to get tired. Who wants it more?
The sprint in Adelaide. This year's resplendent in the rainbow jerseys.
Commanding the bottom of the track, Finucane. Friedrich just goes up high. Finucane increasing the speed just to neutralise any move from the second position there from Friedrich. Do or die for both of these riders now, and the world champion Emma Finucane leads into the final lap. Friedrich up to the back wheel as they come down the back straight, out of the saddle again from Friedrich, but she's not in a great position, wasn't able to get up around the outside of Finucane into the final straight, and that was a really strong ride there from Emma Finucane to win the deciding race in the women's sprint semi-final. So she goes into the race for gold and silver, and Leah Friedrich will be racing for bronze. Question, who against? Well, we'll find out in just a moment. But that was a really solid ride from the world champion. In complete control from position number 1. Drifted up the track when she needed to, dived back down to shut the door on Friedrich from trying to go underneath when she needed to as well. And then just a superior speed and power in that final lap. The young world champion, 21 years of age, now already a world champ. Big future ahead and coming into fine form in an Olympic year. The deciding battle for Finucane's competitor. It's going to come out of this race between Mathilde Gros and Hetty van der Waal. Clicked in, strapped in, and then the aerodynamic shoe cover over the top. It's an individual sprint, but it certainly takes a team effort to get themselves prepared and ready to race.
Now, the third ride of heat number 2, race sprinting here from our women's field tonight. We welcome back onto the track in the orange of the Netherlands. Please welcome Hetty van der Waal and her opponent representing France.
The deciding race, heat 2, women's sprint semi-finals. Hetty van der Waal from the Netherlands up against the former world champion Mathilde Gros from France. 24-year-old is the world sprint champion in 2022. Twice a Keirin European champion. That was back in 2018 and 2019. Van der Waal, she has really wowed. Racing above her qualifying time. She beat Sophie Capewell in the quarterfinals, and Sophie was the 3rd fastest rider. And then she took a race off Mathilde Gros here in the semis. Can she do it again? She's been great tactically, but can Mathilde outpower the rider from the Netherlands? Van der Waal looks comfortable in second position, not desperately trying to get over the top of Gros. High on the banking though, and you can see that's forcing Mathilde to come up to counteract that slightly. Down the back straight, 1.5 laps to go. A little bit more speed coming from Gros, and you can see both riders out of the saddle, just leaning on the gears a little bit. Big, powerful gears the riders are now riding at this level, and a lot more speed as they come through. Do or die battle here, same as it was in heat number 1, and this is heat 2, the women's sprint semi-finals, the deciding race, and the first one to dive down the track was Van der Waal from the Netherlands, but that was shut down by Mathilde Gros around the final bend, and the French rider is really strong up to the finishing line, and that was a convincing win as well from the former world champ. So the former world champion Mathilde Gros will race the current world champion in Emma Finucane for gold and silver, and Hetty Van der Waal will be up against Leah Friedrich racing for the bronze. After really close battles, must be said, both deciding races in the semi-finals, fairly convincing for Mathilde Gros and Emma Finucane. Still through to the line, but didn't need to in the end. What a final that's going to be. Coming up later tonight. Looking forward to that. The race for the medals. For gold, it's Finucane versus Gros, current and former world champions. And the silver medalist from the Worlds last year, Leah Sophie Friedrich, up against Hetty Van der Waal from the Netherlands for the bronze medal. From the pure sprinters to the women's endurance field. And it's the women's Madison coming on now. 30 kilometres, 120 laps, and every 10 laps they will sprint for points. As you see, 5, 3, 2, and 1 point across the line for 4th place. Take a lap on the field, as we saw in the tempo race, it's 20 points gained. If you get dropped and lose a lap, then you'll lose your 20 points. And fantastic spread of nations. Interestingly though, gold and silver from the World Championships last year. Great Britain and Australia not in the field tonight. So that creates a great opportunity for another nation to come away with the win. Australia were going to field a team, but you only have an opportunity to put riders in that have acquired enough points to be allowed to compete at Nations Cup levels from other events previously. And unfortunately, one of those riders, Chloe Moran, had a crash the day before the competition started. So they've just been cautious. She's okay, but the team and Chloe just being cautious and not actually racing any of the events over this weekend. So the Australians not fielding a team, and they were the silver medalists, not with Chloe, that was with Georgia Baker and Alex Manley at the World Championships last year. And the world champions, Great Britain, Nia Evans and Eleanor Barker, also not here on the start line. Team number 1, though, will be lining up. It's Italy with Silvia Zanardi and Matilda Vitello. Then a good solid pairing from Ireland. They've really come on strong in the last couple of years, the Irish women's track team, Mia Griffin and Alice Sharp. Japan have Mitsuki Aikida and Masaki Okamoto. Solid team from Denmark as well. Ellen Klinger and Ida Krum. Look out for the New Zealand team. Bryony Botha was 7th last year at the Worlds, and that was with Ali Wollaston. Ali's not here. She's on road duties in Europe, and Bryony will be racing with Emily Shearman. That's the New Zealand team. Netherlands, Marit Rijmakers and Lisa Van Bell. Hong Kong, as we see on camera now, Li Ziwing and Luing Wing Yi. So there'll be a lot of support if they can do anything here on the track tonight. The team from Hong Kong, China. We have the Japanese national team and also the team Rakuten K-Dreams, so the trade team from Japan. That's Meiho Kakita and Tsuyaki Uchino. And we are underway. 120 laps. Sprint for points every 10 laps. 15 teams on the track. So if you haven't seen a women's or a Madison before, 2-rider team event, 1 rider from each team in the peloton, as you see. And with the sound of the gun, the second rider that was lining up on the back straight is now unleashed into the race. Hand change, doing the changeover. Somewhat a relay race, but without a baton. So it's not just about strength and speed, it's also technical ability. Doing a good hand change, riding good position, and then thinking multiple laps ahead. In the individual races, scratch points, those sorts of events, you might think a couple of laps ahead to where you might need to be for position. But in this one, you've got to think 4 to 5 laps ahead, because you might change to your partner and then you want to come back in a certain position. Well, you need to make sure you put your partner in the right spot, then they go ahead as well. By the time you come back in, that's when you need to be in the spot that you were hoping to be in. So you really do need to plan ahead, think ahead. It is a race that can get very hectic with all of the hand slings. And if riders aren't concentrating, they can get caught out in between changeover from a team in front of them. That's when the crashes happen. Hopefully that will not be the case here tonight. 115 laps to go now as they come through. New Zealand on the front. Netherlands, Italy, Ireland, Switzerland, all starting to pick up the pace now as they are thinking ahead, as I mentioned, towards this first of the intermediate sprints. Changeover from the Netherlands. Good stretch on the arms, good tactics and ability there from the Dutch riders. You look down the back of the peloton, no one's really going on the attack, but you can just see how much the gaps open up because of all the changes in front. And if you're not tactically astute, you end up too far back and you're always bridging gaps and wasting energy. 1:12 to go. The bell will sound for the first time when they come around the next time. And Raemakers is really fighting on the front to hold off New Zealand and Ireland. Both riders looking for their partners. And the first change will be made at the sound of the bell, both New Zealand and the Netherlands at the same time. So good riding there from Marit Raemakers. She throws Lisa van Bell down the back straight in the front. New Zealand have drifted back to 3rd place off their change, with Ireland going over the top. So first 5 points going to the Netherlands. Ireland on 3, then it's New Zealand with 2, and Italy 1 point for 4th place. Good setup from the team in the orange colours of the Netherlands. It does cost a lot of energy to go several laps from the finish. So you do need to also think about where you need to conserve energy so that you can put in those big multiple lap efforts to gain the points. 108 laps to go as they come through, and the Netherlands still on the front. In the clear and not in the rear, as my father used to give me advice when I was coming through. But if you are up front in the clear, you are pushing into the wind and wasting a bit of energy. Switzerland dive down underneath to make position. Not an attack as such, but just making sure that they are out of the carnage that is so often happening at the back of the peloton in a Madison. Big move around the outside there from Japan. 2 teams representing Japan, trade team and then the national squad. Mexico it is that's on the front of the peloton. Dutch about to make a change as well down the back straight. It'll be 104 laps to go. And a little bit of indecision there from Japan, looking over the shoulder the whole time. Gap has opened up. She's looking for her partner and decided to swing up and out of the way. So really just a waste of energy there from the Japanese rider. Not a great effort. You either go for it and try and stay ahead of the peloton or follow the wheels. 1:03 to go. Next sprint not too far away. The Dutch also now coming back around the outside. So looking to try and take control very early on is the team from the Netherlands. 1:02 to go. The bell will be the next time around, and Ireland again showing good form in second position. Van Bell it is this time that leads down the back straight. Italy up there again as well. So the same top teams as we saw in the first sprint as they get the second intermediate bell. And it's Raymakers that leads down the back straight. Ireland in second. Then it's Italy, Switzerland, New Zealand, and a gap opening up back to Japanese team. The two Japanese squads back in 6th and 7th position. But a comfortable win there for the Netherlands. Two big efforts to gain maximum points. You look at the scoreboard though, they're leading on 10, so doing a great job. Perfect score so far for the Netherlands. 2 sprint wins, 10 points. Ireland sit in second position on 6. Italy 3, New Zealand 2, with Switzerland picking up 1 point. So very early on, 2 sprints, yet we've seen 4 teams, the top 4 teams involved in both of those sprints. And I can see 1, 2, 3, 4 nations that are off the back of the peloton. 2 are just about to get back on now, you can see. And then there's another 2 that are a long way behind. So the alltricks.com Sprinter Club Femme, French trade team, in a bit of trouble off the back. And the Tashkent City track team also. So 2 teams that are not too far from perhaps losing a lap and being docked 20 points. 95 to go, New Zealand lead through. Bryony Botha now making the change to Emily Shearman. You see the top teams, they virtually don't lay off the back wheel of the rider in front of them when they come to do the change. Well, have a look at Italy. 3 laps to the next bell, and Shearman so far content to stay on the front of the peloton. So New Zealand desperately looking to try and stay in good position for this next sprint. Where are the Netherlands? They've won the first 2. They're a bit further back now, almost right at the back of the peloton. The Netherlands in the orange colours. So 92 laps to go. I think the Netherlands are too far back to contest this next sprint. And I have heard the bang of a tyre, so there has been a flat tyre. No one has gone down, so that's good as we get into the next sprint. 91 laps to go, and Switzerland sprinting over the top of the change of New Zealand. So New Zealand changing perhaps a little bit too late, and that's created a great opportunity for Switzerland to pop off the front of the peloton and pick up the 5 points. So great sprinting there from Switzerland. That was Aline Seitz. You get fantastic speed off a change, but in the process of the change itself, there is that deceleration before you get the hand sling, and that's a great opportunity, as we saw from Seitz, to sprint over the top, take full advantage of that, and there's 5 points to them. Italy was second, New Zealand third, and Ireland, once again in the points, in 4th. So Uzbekistan was the team that had the flat tyre. They have changed their wheel. Now the rider from the partner of the rider that's had the flat from Uzbekistan is required, once the peloton comes around to them, they must enter the race. So they have done that. But if you take too long to change a wheel, it really does put your teammate under an enormous amount of pressure to stay out there without doing those changeovers for too long.
sort themselves out again as they come down the back straight. 85 laps to go.
So the Netherlands not in that last sprint. The 2 sprint wins still keep them on the top, 10 points. Ireland moving up into second on 7. Italy and Switzerland tied on 6. Then it's New Zealand on 4 points. They are the only teams that have scored any points. 5 teams have dominated the opening 3 sprints. Not too far to the next sprint now, and you can see momentum starting to pick up as they're fighting for position once more.
Netherlands still lead the way on 10 points.
Roni Botha from New Zealand looking for Shearman. As they go down the back straight, they get the bell in another half a lap. So look over the shoulder to see if there's anyone coming. No one is. So great setup this time. And Shearman coming in just a little bit earlier for the sprint. So not being overtaken as we saw in the previous one. Shearman from New Zealand leads down the back straight. Change from the Japanese team behind them. But the gap is big enough, or is it? Yes, it is. So Shearman, New Zealand pick up the 5 points there.
They're starting to share the points out, but have a look at the damages going on behind. We're a lead group of 4. Then we've got 2 different.
So the Japanese trade team of Rakuten K Dream Team, they get the second place, 3 points to them. So that's their first points. UCI registered trade team, they're up into 6th place on 3. But the gap to the very top now, only 1 point in it between New Zealand and the Netherlands. And once again, the Dutch not in the mix that time. 2 fantastic sprints to set them up in the opening laps, and now they seem to be on the back foot, the Netherlands. Move off the front. So team Rakuten K Dreams, Katita and Uchino. They picked up their first points in the last sprint, then continued on with it. Constant looking over the shoulder. It's so difficult, one team against the rest of the field, but they're doing a good job. 74 laps to go when they come around the next time. And there's a good look at the new innovation from Japan, the bike. The chain set on the left-hand side of the bike, as you'll notice when they come around. Better yaw angle for the aerodynamics of the bike, apparently, allegedly, to have the chain set on the inside and the super wide forks and rear stays of that bike. Fantastic looking machine. Great changeover from them at 73 laps to go. And the peloton have eased off. So this is an incredible opportunity. Olga Zabelinskaya, though, has gone on the attack for Uzbekistan. So the Uzbek team have got themselves back in after that mechanical mishap.
The Netherlands up there on the outside. Ireland looking for a power as they head down the home straight this time. Bit of traffic there.
They will get the bell the next time. They are the length of the straight ahead, and the Netherlands are coming back into this one. So Rakuten K Dreams, they'll get the 5 points regardless of what happens behind, because the change has been made down the back straight on the sprint lap. The gap is almost the length of the straight. So there's 5 points going to the Japanese registered trade team as they come through, and the Netherlands now back up into the points. So they come through in second position.
Moving back to Uzbekistan.
New Zealand, sensing the danger, have gone out, and Uzbekistan, I'm just noticing them, not focused on the camera here, but I've just noticed it's taken them a lap and a half to make a change. So tactically, technically, not doing a great job in the changeovers, Uzbekistan, and that has cost them dearly. They've gone back to the peloton, as we see now. 2 teams in the Netherlands and New Zealand joining forces to try and chase down team Rakuten K Dreams. Kakita leads the way. 67 laps to go. That sprint effort from them puts them up into equal third on 8 points with Switzerland and Ireland. But They are looking very solid in picking up more points in the next sprint. Into the aerodynamic position. One team against the rest. This has been a solid ride from Kakita and Uchino. 65 laps to go. Being chased by New Zealand and the Netherlands.
They have just changed gear here. They have gone faster now in this breakaway. Just saw the change for the Netherlands team.
And they're not too far as they come down the back straight for another changeover. They can see the peloton in front of them, still trying to keep themselves away from the Netherlands and New Zealand, and they actually have put more distance into those other two top teams. So this has been a really strong ride from team number 10. It is Rakuten K-Dreams, two Japanese teams, of course, on the track, but the Japanese national team in Aikida and Okamoto, they are struggling at the back of the peloton as the Rakuten K-Dreams squad, team number 10, Kakita and Uchino, just about to make their way onto the back of the field. There's their change, and they do get the bell with 61 laps to go. So because the bell has been sounded, even if they catch the peloton as they're about to do, they are in the mix for these sprint points. That's the regulation. If they get given the bell, regardless in that next lap if they catch the peloton or not, they pick up the sprint win. So there's 5 points to them. And New Zealand about to come across the line to pick up 3. There they are, ahead of the Netherlands on 2 points. So the final point on offer is picked up by Switzerland as they just come across the line. But there's a lap gained to the Japanese trade team, Team Rakuten K-Dreams, Mayo Kakita and Tsuyaka Uchino. So 20 points and straight to the very top of the leaderboard now on 33. So leaders on the track now are the Netherlands and New Zealand. And there's the race leaders. Tell you what, that was a gutsy performance from them. They weren't featuring in the early sprints, but they had the endurance to take a lap on the field. 20 points added to a couple of sprint wins, and now they lead comfortably on 33. However, it's not too long until I think we'll see the Netherlands and New Zealand also gaining a lap. There they are. So they're down the back straight as the peloton's just now coming into the home straight. So they're only a quarter of a lap behind the back of the field. Uzbekistan attacking off the front of the peloton, but the real focus is on the two teams that are trying to gain a lap, and there they are, New Zealand and the Netherlands. Sitting second and third overall, but that will change everything if they get their lap gain. 20 points out to their tally. Netherlands will go to the lead outright if they can do so. And I think they might try and just hang out there for a little bit longer to pick up this next sprint that's not too far away. They'll get 53 laps as they come through this time. Still a little bit of pace on in the peloton as we see the fantastic change over there between Raymakers and Van Bell. This is Maritz, Raymakers, that is in. And they're just chasing down New Zealand, Bryony Botha it is. It's just gone down through the bottom of the screen. There it is, Botha that leads, and Raymakers just trying to come up onto the back wheel, getting the slipstream. And they'll get the next bell for the next sprint coming through this time. The peloton have just gone past the finish line, but the two leaders now go through, the Dutch and New Zealand. And it's Raymakers that leads down the back straight, and Bryony Botha, though, up over the top. She's desperately trying to get this next sprint before they catch the field. So New Zealand do get the 5 points. The Netherlands, they get 3. What are they going to do now? Will they bridge the gap to the field, or they will start playing games? They want to stay there for another sprint. It's 9 laps till the next sprint. Pace is on in the peloton. It's dangerous if you hover off the back for too long. Denmark and Switzerland have tried to attack the peloton at the front, and now that's been neutralised. So the big question, the Netherlands, are definitely pushing to make the lap gain. So they'll get 47 laps to go, and there's two more teams now gaining a lap on the field, along with the Japanese trade team, Team Rakuten K-Dreams. So there's another 20 points going to the tally of New Zealand and the Netherlands, and it will be New Zealand that go to the outright lead here in the women's Madison. 46 laps remain in the women's Madison here at the Track Nations Cup in Hong Kong, presented by Tissot. Confirmation. So New Zealand, the Netherlands, Rakuten K-Dreams, then it's Switzerland, Ireland and Italy. Only two other teams in Denmark and Uzbekistan picking up any sprint points. See several teams losing multiple laps. And the Tashkent City track team, 60 points minus, so 3 laps that they have lost. Big move though off the front, while the New Zealand and the Netherlands were desperately scrambling to get to the back of the peloton. It's the Rakuten K-Dreams Japanese trade team that have popped off the front yet again. Wow, this is a strong ride by Kakita and Uchino. 42 laps to go. Team from Czechia, the second team on the track. Ireland trying to chase them down, just about to get to the back wheel, and then they go over the top. You see there at the top of the picture, and oh, almost splitting the change of the team from Czechia. Bell sounds though, 41 laps to go. Rakuten K-Dreams lead down the back straight. Gap's big enough. They are guaranteed the 5 points when they come around. And that will take them up to equal with the Netherlands, depending on where they finish in this sprint. So 5 points to Rakuten K-Dreams from Japan. Ireland picking up 3 points for second. And now look how tight it is at the top. 39 laps to go, and it's only 1 point amongst the 3 medal teams at the moment. Big gap back to Switzerland. Good points haul though from Switzerland, knowing that they haven't taken a lap, but 13 points gained through the sprints. 3 teams slightly off the front of the main field. Just keeping a bit of pressure on the pedals. Mayo Kakita. Netherlands shutting it down. New Zealand, you can see just the black colours flashing into the background, making sure that the Netherlands were not getting too far ahead. And now it's 5 teams all together at the front, but the pace has just come off. Haven't seen the Italians for a while. They were in the hunt early on, 6 points down in 6th place, but they really have been on the back foot scrambling to stay in contention for a minor medal here. And we can see the red flag being given to one of the teams, which I'm assuming is the Tashkent City track team. So I think they may have, yeah, you can see 3 teams being given the do not finish. So 3 teams being losing too many laps for them to be allowed to continue in the race. They will give them an opportunity if they go a lap down to try perhaps and regain that lost lap and the points required. But once you lose 2-3 laps or more, then it's clear that you're just not up to the task. So taking them out of the race. Meanwhile, at the front, it's the New Zealanders. Switzerland lead the way. New Zealand in second. Then it's Ireland, Italy, as we mentioned, trying to get themselves back in the hunt. The last couple of laps have been a little bit slower than what we've seen previously. So everyone's had a little bit of a rest. And now we're back into the sprints. The bell will sound with 31 laps to go when they come around now. Down the back straight, and it's Switzerland. Alain Seitz does the changeover to Michel Andres. And as Dres leads Brani Botha, Botha now makes the change to Shearman. New Zealand in second position. Good change from them. Can they come over the top? It looks like they might be able to. Good fight between Switzerland and New Zealand, but Shearman comes through to pick up the 5 points. So that's a really good buffer. The other teams they're head-to-head with were not in the points at all. So they go to 44. Netherlands and Rakuten K Dreams remain on 38. Only 3 more sprints remaining. The final sprint, though, does have double points. 10, 6, 4, and 2. So 2 more normal sprints for 5, 3, 2, and 1. And then the big one at the end. Double points on offer. 6-point lead, though, for New Zealand. That's a handy little buffer to have with only 3 sprints to come. Equal second position, first and second teams on the front of the peloton there. See the Mexican team just drifting through to do their change. Mexico, represented by Antonetta Gaxiola and Yareli Salazar. For those of you that may not know, Antonetta Gaxiola is one of the most followed cyclists on social media. I think it's only Tadej Pogacar and maybe Mathieu van der Poel that actually have more Instagram followers than Gaxiola. Over 1 million followers for the Mexican rider. Huge South American fan base. 24 laps to go. And it is Salazar that leads through for Mexico. They are the Pan American champions in the Madison, Mexico. They are a little bit further down in equal 10th place at the moment. No points so far. Pace starting to come up again as we approach the next sprint. That's Gaxiola looking for her partner for Mexico. And they will come in to about 5th position, though, as there's a real scramble towards the front. The Netherlands up around the outside once more. Van Bell, head down, aero position. As they come around for the 3rd last sprint, and the Netherlands will lead through. It's Rakuten K Dreams in 2nd position, and a gap back to Ireland and New Zealand. So a real chance now for the Netherlands to get some points back and close that margin down, but a real fight to the line here between these two. Ooh, I'm not sure. I'll wait for confirmation on that one. That was really tight between Rakuten K Dreams and the Netherlands. New Zealand were definitely 3rd across the line, so 2 points for them. I'm still not sure. They did give it to the Netherlands, so 5 points for the Netherlands. That does close things down. Only 3 points is the lead now that the New Zealanders have over the Netherlands. 2 points back to Rakuten K Dreams. That was a really important sprint, that one. 18 laps to go. One more regular sprint point battle to come before the final double point sprint. It so often changes the medals, the final sprint, with so many points to gain. $16 to go. Kakita goes through and swings off. Mia Griffin does likewise for Ireland. And Saints for Switzerland on the front. New Zealand now. Shearman it is. Shearman and Saints. Oh, and a bit of shoulder work there. Mexico on the inside. Just dropping the shoulder to try and hold position. That was Gaxiola. So really fighting to try and salvage something for Mexico. And there's a real battle between, oh, and then a change has happened. She's just given herself a little bit of room there, Antoinetta Gaxiola, and she has won the battle for the back wheel of New Zealand. It's Bryony Botha that leads. 13 laps to go. And Mexico about to make the change. Switzerland coming straight back up around the outside to try and take that second position off them, and it's success for New Zealand this time. Oh, sorry, for Switzerland this time. The Kiwis have been on the front for a long time, though. Bryony Botha, great individual and team pursuit rider. Good time trialer, and a big move now coming from Rakuten K-Dreams. They'll get the bell as they come around. New Zealand make the change, but it will be the Japanese riders that will get to the bell first. Uchino leads, and a good change as they go down the back straight. Shearman trying to come around the outside. She has been able to do so for New Zealand. So this is great points on offer. The final of the 5-point sprints, and it will be New Zealand. Really close, though, between Switzerland and Kakita. Italy in 4th place, 1 point for them. Now, only one more sprint to come, and it's the double-point sprint to finish things off. The Netherlands were not in the points in that sprint, so this has really been set up well by the New Zealanders. Mathematically, they can be beaten for gold, but a 7-point lead over Rakuten K-Dreams from Japan, you take that coming into the final sprint. Haven't seen too much from Denmark, Ellen Klinger and Ida Krum. And they're now trying to fight for the final points on offer. If they win the final sprint and Italy don't place, then they can move themselves right up. Chance to finish in 6th position. They're only on 1 point at the moment, but Italy on 6th have 9. And that was a short-lived attack, though, unfortunately, for Krum, as she makes the change over to Klinger. So Ellen Klinger swings up, allows Bryony Botha to come through, and it's 5 laps to go. New Zealand in a really good position here. If they can finish 3rd or better, that will guarantee them the gold medal. If they finish 4th, there is still a chance that the gold could be snatched away from them. Rakuten K-Dreams make their change at 3 laps to go, and they have a little bit of work to do to get themselves in contention for this final sprint. The Netherlands go up around the outside. And Shearman really starting to struggle. She's looking for Bryony Botha. 2 laps to go. It's the Netherlands that will come through. Big performance from them coming to this final sprint. They are within reach of the New Zealanders. The New Zealanders now finally make their change, but it's from 5th position as they come to the final lap. This could change everything. Big effort from Bryony Botha to get herself back up there into the points. New Zealand with a lot of work to do, but down the back straight, it is the Netherlands that are fighting for the final 10-point sprint here. And look at the move from Rakuten K-Dreams. Japan will pick up the 10 points. Where's New Zealand? That's the big question. New Zealand crossed the line in 4th place. So Rakuten K-Dreams pick up the 10 points. They go to the gold medal position. 54 points, and it is a 1-point win for Rakuten K-Dreams in the final throw of the dice across the line to win the women's Madison. New Zealand just tripping over in the final hurdle and finishing 4th in the final sprint, and they drop down to silver. The Netherlands, they hold on to get the bronze medal, but what a fantastic setup for that final sprint it was. Team Rakuten K-Dreams from Japan, Mayo Kakita and Tsuyaka Uchino. Brilliant performance to win the Madison. I do not know how many times we see that final double-point sprint change the entire outcome of the race, and yet again it's happened. New Zealand, I'm sure they were confident coming into the final. Big effort from the Netherlands to stretch the field out and taking full advantage of that. Kakita and Uchino, brilliant performance to get the win. And got to say, while it was super close in the end, they were able to take their lap on their own, whereas the New Zealanders worked with the Netherlands to gain their lap. So full credit to the Japanese riders. That was a really solid performance. I have been so impressed by the Japanese endurance program. So many good performances amongst their men and women in the endurance events. The team pursuits, extraordinary. Both men's and women's teams getting onto the podium here at the UCI Track Nations Cup in Hong Kong. And now a solid performance, winning gold in the women's Madison. That's amazing. That'll be a massive confidence booster heading towards the Olympic Games in both team pursuit and the Madison event. From the long course format to the pure sprinters once again. And we're now into the race for the medals. Race for bronze up first. Lea-Sophie Friedrich up against Hetty van der Waal. Germany versus the Netherlands. They share a border, but they will not be friends on the track here tonight, racing for bronze. Women's sprint race for the bronze medal. This is the first race in the best of three competition. 25-year-old from the Netherlands, Hetty van der Waal, versus the 24-year-old from Germany, Lea-Sophie Friedrich, the 8-time world champion in team sprint, Keirin, and 500-meter time trial. And she's been the silver medalist 3 times at the Worlds in the sprint. She's now racing for the bronze medal. On paper, she does look like the more credentialed rider, but Hetty van der Waal has really wowed the crowd here tonight with some fantastic performances this afternoon, racing above her qualifying time to find herself here racing for the bronze medal. Friedrich happy to go into position number 1 as they get 2 laps to go here. First of our races for the medals, or second of the races for the medals after the women's Madison. Bell will sound. Race number 1 in the competition for the bronze medal in the women's sprint, and Friedrich will lead into the final lap in front. A lot of height from van der Waal from the Netherlands. Big gap, and she can accelerate into the slipstream down the back straight. Really strong ride here from Friedrich at the front. It's a big ask from van der Waal to come around the outside. She can get up beside her, but it's not going to be enough. 1 up in the best of 3 for Lea Friedrich from Germany. Good little confidence booster for her heading into race number 2. She clearly wanted to be in that first position and then hug the bottom of the track using the power and the speed that she has shown so often in the past to get to the line first. Women's sprint final now coming up. Race for gold and silver. The current world champion, Emma Finucane, the 21-year-old, on sensational form up against the former world champion, 24-year-old Mathilde Gros from France. So Great Britain versus France. Both of these riders coming into this competition, the second round of the UCI Track Nations Cup here in Hong Kong, China. would have come in expecting to be in this race for the medals. Who wants it more? Two champions head-to-head. Emma Finucane versus Mathilde Gros. Great Britain versus France. Race number 1 in the women's sprint gold medal match. Finucane, happy to be in second position. Just allowing a fair amount of leeway there for Mathilde Gros. Slow speed at the bottom of the track though as they come around to complete their first lap. A little bit more pace now being pushed onto the pedals there by Mathilde Gros. 1.5 laps to go. Race 1 in the gold medal match here between Finucane and Gros. And it's Mathilde Gros from France that will lead into the final lap. High on the track and a full acceleration now from the world champion. And Gros staying very high on the track, but that has allowed Finucane with that extra elevation to get some speed for free and go comfortably around the outside. So she'll go one up in the best of 3 here. The world champion, she sits on the top, one hand on the gold medal here at the Track Nations Cup. What can Mathilde Gros do to come back and force a decider? I could see what Mathilde was trying to do there, but she just allowed Emma to have a little bit too much speed over the top and wasn't able to neutralise that downhill acceleration there. And shoulder to shoulder going into the back straight from a higher elevation, that was always going to go in favour of Finucane. With barely a moment to catch their breath, the men's Omnium riders are coming back onto the track for their elimination. Third discipline, with only the points race to come. And Oscar Nielsen Julien leads on 80 points ahead of Aaron Gate from New Zealand. So good to see another French rider stepping right up. Benjamin Thomas and Morgan Kineski, a couple of riders that were so good. And those two combined to win the men's Madison World Championships on this very velodrome. But both of those riders very good in the Omnium at the highest level. So great to see another French Omnium rider stepping up.
And then it will be a match sprint between those two.
So Kai Kung from Hong Kong. I'll just check to see where the rider from Hong Kong is sitting in the overall standings. As we see our French leader of the men's Omnium. Fascinating race, the elimination. Real crowd favourite, this one. Those that have seen eliminations or been in them understand what I'm talking about. If you haven't watched an elimination race before, this is the one event where we focus on the back of the peloton, not the front. So every 2 laps, the last rider across the line, going by their back wheel, not their front wheel, as we do in every other race, but the back of the rear wheel of the last rider across the line is eliminated from the race, right down to a final sprint between 2 riders. as it is for all the first three disciplines within the Omnium. They are racing for points, 40 points a game for the winner, as it was in the scratch race and then the tempo race. 38 for second, 36, so on and so forth down through the rankings for the other riders. And then their overall standing points, as we see Nilsson leading on 80 points. Whatever he gets from this race in the points in the end, that's what they start. They start the final points race with their overall classification points. There's Graham Frisley from Australia. Tim Waffler from Austria. There's Hesters. Maya Hashimoto. Witztum from Switzerland. Ricardo Pina, that was from Mexico. Roger Kluger, the German. Fair way down in the overall standings, Kluger. But he's a very crafty, smart rider. So he'll be trying to get some good results, good points here in this elimination. Rugovac from Czechia. And in order, top of the track is the overall leader in Nilsson. Down the bottom, second place overall is Aaron Gates, and the world champion with a big push from his coach, Luri Leitao. Goes straight to position number 1. Really tired legs for these riders now, and if you're right down the back here, it means you're not up in the overall standing, so perhaps struggling a little bit more than the riders in front, but so desperate for these riders to quickly get around the outside and get into good position. There was Tso Kai Kung from Hong Kong in the light blue colours, right down in the middle there. And the bell signifying the first of the elimination laps, and it's Denis Rugovac from Czechia that's in danger at the back of the peloton.
Two-thirds of the way down, and now they all start to move forward, and we turn our attention
dive down to the inside, but then there's a rush up high.
Rider 44, rider
44 it was.
Rider 44, Daniel Christa.
Daniel
Romania.
Christa.
Rider 44.
Daniel Christa from Romania. First rider to go.
They go through this
second elimination lap now. And Colby Lang down the bottom in the blue and yellow. There he is. Nowhere to go, trying to keep himself in this race. He was good in the scratch race. And he will keep himself in now. That is a huge upset. Aaron Gate, second overall, second rider eliminated. So minimal points from Aaron Gate. That could be disastrous in the overall standings going into the points race. He is the points race world champion, but that is huge to see Aaron Gate go out so early. Peter Moore in the American colours in the middle, perhaps in a little bit of danger. And yes, he is the last one to go across the line. So often the rider that's is dead last coming around the final bend looks as if they're in perilous danger, but they get that extra elevation and run down the finishing straight. And often it's the riders that are down towards the bottom or in the middle of the peloton at the back that are unable to accelerate to get themselves out of problems. So look at Lamon, for example, here for Italy. Coming into the final straight, he wasn't in last position, but he is by the time they get to the line, so he's the next one gone.
34, Italy, Francesco Lamon.
The Olympic team pursuit champion from Italy. He's now out of the elimination. This is the elimination, the third discipline within the Omnium. And it's Van Aert up around the outside. It might have been a Van Aert on the top. Oh no, it's Hong Kong. Hong Kong, China, unfortunately. So Kai Kung is the rider eliminated. Big sigh from the crowd here at the velodrome to see Kai Kung go out. So Rugovac from Czechia, perhaps in a bit of danger here as Van Aert from Indonesia up around the outside. And now Rugovac desperately dives down underneath, but with nowhere to go, he's the next one out. Overall standings leader, Oscar Nilsson Julien, leads the way for France. So he's using up a bit of energy, but he certainly has been impressing with how much in strength that he has. Van Aert from Indonesia in the red colours, perhaps in danger this time. He is the last one across the line. He needed to try and move Roger Kluge out of the way to get through, but Roger, big, strong, powerful man, he's a hard one to move. And the world champion in a bad position. Real desperate fight from Louis Leitao to get himself out of danger. Ooh, down the bottom, maybe Colby Lang. It was Colby Lang, number 13 from America. And you could see him backpedaling because he was pushing hard to try and squeeze through a gap that wasn't there. And then hard on the back pedal, try and put the brakes on to not cause a crash. Bertold Driver from Hungary. So Arango from Colombia. Hashimoto perhaps in a bit of a danger position here, Japanese rider. So he's really pushing to make some room to give him some distance to get through. And so good move from Hashimoto to keep himself in, but it was at the expense of Arango from Colombia. Hashimoto with that moment of desperation going straight around the outside. So good to see Aya rectify the situation that he found himself in. And now Mexico, Ricardo Pina in last position. Hansen from Denmark in front of him. And Pina with a real rush down the finishing straight. Will survive.
45, Switzerland. 45,
and it was Simon Witztum from Switzerland. As you can see, fairly clear. Simon Witztum out of the race. Still Pina in last position. Roger Kluge from Germany in front of him. Quick look over the shoulder. Kluge knows there's only one rider behind. And now a quick sprint up the finishing straight. And he will survive, and it will be Pina that goes. 39. Ricardo Pina from Mexico. Graham Frisley now, second last position. Leitao, the world champion, once again finding himself in danger. Roger Kluge, two-time world Madison champion. And it could be a real situation here for William Perrott from Great Britain, right down the very bottom of the track. And I think that's who it is. It is. So the winner of the elimination on last night's program, William Perrott from Great Britain, the next rider to go. Just stuck down the bottom, nowhere to accelerate. Frisley over the top now of Hansen. Oh no, he wasn't able to get over the top. So Graham Frisley perhaps. Now he's going to try and get past Roger Kluge. Tobias Hansen from Denmark, but Kluge gives up. So Roger Kluge the next one to go, but a big effort there from Graham Frisley. That would have hurt. Sebastian Mora from Spain on the front, looking comfortable. Tobias Hansen. Frisley in front of him. Then it's the world champ Leitao. Hashimoto underneath. Is there going to be a rush from those riders at the back and put Hashimoto in trouble? No, it'll be Graham Frizzley. So the Australian is the next one out. Frizzley, the Frizz is out.
And then there are 8. They come into the home straight again. Spain leads the way. France up on the outside. There's Denmark, Belgium, Austria. The world champion still there.
Still 2 riders from Japan in the race. And a real squeeze. Waffler from Austria in the most vulnerable position, perhaps down the bottom. And he is going to be the one out, I think. Mora down below him. But Tim Waffler unable to get past Sebastian Mora.
7 riders left as they come through. Still, once again, the leader of the championship.
Leitao, the world champ. Another big battle at the back. Jules Hesters from Belgium, accelerating just to make sure he had some room to go. And this, they have fanned right up the track here, and it's Sebastian Mora. He was close last time, and this time he's out. 6 riders. Hashimoto, Hesters. The overall leader in Nielsen, Leitao, Hansen, and Noeka Kojima as well from the Bridgestone team. Hansen in a bit of trouble now. You can see the fatigue really starting to creep in and hurt the legs of these riders. So Tobias Hansen from Denmark is gone.
Rider 16, Tobias Hansen is eliminated. Tobias Hansen is eliminated.
So Nielsen from France, Hesters from Belgium, Kojima from Team Bridgestone, Japan, Aya Hashimoto also, Japanese rider, and he's looked over his shoulder to realise there's no one behind, and that is a sign that you're in a bit of trouble when you're at the back and still not sure if you're last position. So an easy elimination this time. Aya Hashimoto is gone.
Number 35 from Japan, Aya Hashimoto.
Down to 4.
4 riders left now.
Current standings leader, Oscar Nielsen Julien. He's been at the front so much in this race, really showing how strong the Frenchman is. Hester's looking really good. He was the silver medalist in the elimination outright race last night, and Hester's again putting himself in a great position here in the Omnium. And I think at the top of the track, Kojima.
France 22.
Oh no, it was the overall leader. Wow, Oscar Nielsen Julien. Yes, indeed. I thought it might have been Kojima at the top, but the French strong right man. Still some good points from him though. So in the overall standings, he's still in a pretty good position going into the final points race. Hesters. Leitao, the world champ from Portugal, over the top, so he will remain in the race. And Jules Hesters, silver medal in the elimination yesterday, 3rd place in the Omnium elimination here today. So down to 2. The world champ, Louis Leitao, the 25-year-old from Portugal, up against Naoki Kojima from Team Bridgestone, and Kojima goes to position number 1, and a real acceleration here from Leitao. They are on their hands and knees in the final here in the elimination. Such a difficult race to keep sprinting all the way down. And wanting some recognition from the crowd is the world champion from Portugal. That's a solid ride. Louis Leitao wins the Omnium elimination. One more discipline to come, and that is the points race. Such a tough competition, the Omnium. And the world champ prevails here in the elimination. So Leitao gets the win, 40 points to his tally. And a solid ride there from Naoki Kojima from Team Bridgestone. So we'll wait for the updated overall standings as we head towards the final. Nielsen from my calculations, will still be leading the overall standings. So the Frenchman on 114 points, as we see the lap that he was eliminated, and down to the final four, but he had spent a lot of time on the front using an enormous amount of energy, just showing how strong Oscar Nielsen Julien is at the moment. So 114 points. Naoki Kojima, with that second place, has put him up into second place overall on 106, ahead of the world champion Louis Leitao. He's on 102. Then it's Jules Hesters on 76, tied with Sebastian Mora. Aaron Gate dropped down to 6th place with that disastrous ride for him by his standards in the elimination on 73 points. He is the points race world champion though, so expect big things from Aaron Gate to try and move from 6th place and get himself perhaps up into the medals. So one more race for them to come tonight, the points race, and we go back to the women's sprint now. Race for the bronze medal. Leah Friedrich, one up in the best of 3 comp. She wins this, she gets the bronze. Hetty van der Waal doing everything she can now to try and force yet another decider. We saw both semi-finals go to 3 races. Can Hetty force the same situation here in the race for bronze? Fairly commanding win it was from Leah Friedrich from Germany in the first race. Be a massive confidence booster for her. 24-year-old. 3-time silver medalist at the World Championships in the sprint, but she does have 8 World Championship gold medals. They came from team sprints, Keirin's, and the 500-meter time trial. Super fast, super strong, but she has a super crafty Hetty van der Waal lurking in second position. Hugging the bottom of the track. Friedrich confident with her long sprint form. And again, low on tactics. It's just about half throttle, 3/4 throttle, and then hear the bell and hit full throttle. Final, full gas into the final straight now. Friedrich wins this, she gets the bronze medal, and Hetty van der Waal, she's really been asked the question and she does not have the answer. The bronze medal is going to Germany, and Leah Sophie Friedrich comes away to claim bronze. Really strong ride to go straight sets here in the final for bronze. Friedrich's tactic, just use the extra power and speed, hug the bottom of the track, shut down that inside run, and then just squeeze on the accelerator right through to the final. Solid ride. So she comes away with the bronze medal. And a really good ride from Hetty van der Waal overall to finish 4th in a Track Nations Cup sprint competition. Women's sprint, race for gold though. Emma Finucane, the world champion from Great Britain, up against the former world champion Mathilde Gros from France. Solid ride in the first race from Finucane to go one up. And the same question is going to be put to Mathilde Gros that Hetty van der Waal was unable to answer. Can she force a decider? It's a big year for all of the track riders heading towards the Olympic Games. But to be having them in Paris, you can just imagine how special it will be for Mathilde Gros. Finucane drawing position number 1, so obligated to lead for the first half lap unless Mathilde Gros desperately tries to take over that lead position. The race for gold is on. Emma Finucane, the world champion, is one up. She wins this. She has the Track Nations Cup title here to add to the European Championship she won earlier this year. And of course the World Championship rainbow bands that she's so proudly sporting at the moment. Won in Glasgow at the Worlds at the end of last season. stalking in second position. Mathilde Gros, powerful French woman. 2022 World Sprint Champion, looking to regain that form in the Olympic year. The youngster, though, from Great Britain, only 21, and Finucane, already a world champion in this discipline. She has been the standout sprinter in the last 12 months. Can she continue to show that form? Both riders now starting to accelerate, ducking and diving, weaving up and down the track, and Finucane desperately trying to cover that inside run. And she comes into this final lap in control, the world champion. She stays high on the track, but Mathilde Gros a little bit too far back to capitalise and dive down the inside. So Finucane comes into the final bend. She looks really strong. Gros trying to close it down, but it's not going to be. Emma Finucane comes away with the win. The world champ gets the gold medal here in Hong Kong. So the sprint title going to the world champion, Emma Finucane. Really in control all the way through. Just that one little bobble in the semi-final where she lost a race. But for the world champ, really showing her form in the race for gold. Commanding ride from Emma. 2 straight wins to claim gold over Mathilde. And the silver medalist from the World Championships last year in Glasgow that Emma was able to defeat, Leah Sophie Friedrich, in the bronze medal position. So a slight step up for Mathilde Gros compared to where she was at the World Champs last year, but Track Nations Cups, of course, we don't know what level of training load these riders come in to these events with so much of a focus on the World Championships. And we have one more Track Nations Cup coming. That's in Milton in Canada next month. And that's the last opportunity for all of these riders to gain vital points to get the qualifying spots for the Olympic Games. And for Mathilde Gros, she'll be fine in terms of points for the sprint and the Keirin, but the French are in a little bit of danger when you're talking the team sprint. So they'll be desperately trying to get themselves into the top 8 positions to actually race in the team sprint on their home track. Men's Keirin finals now. First up is the race for 7th to 12th place. Israel is represented by Mikhail Yakovlev. Japan have Kento Yamasaki. This is Jeffrey Hoogland, kilometre time trial world record holder. There's Yakovlev from Ireland, formerly from Russia, the big man. Johnny Farr from Suriname, there he is. Yakovlev once more.
And from Japan, please welcome Kento Yamasaki.
Kento Yamasaki.
6 laps of the track.
And one rider that, 2
2
riders that have not come onto the track, which is not that unexpected, were the riders that crashed in the semi-final. Nicholas Paul, the world 200-metre time trial record holder, and Jai Ansu Tasawit from Thailand. So we do wish both those riders, in particular Jai, as he was stretchered off the track, we wish them all the very best and speedy recoveries. So only 4 riders here in the race for 7th place. Kento Yamasaki, position number 1. Jeffrey Hoogland from the Netherlands behind him. Then Mikhail Yakovlev from Ireland and from Suriname, Johnny Farr. Yamasaki finished 8th in the Adelaide Track Nations Cup. He's racing for 7th in the same race as he was in Adelaide. We're hoping to go one better and finish 7th here. He has the big man Hoogland and Yakovlev, two giants of the sport, behind him. And the first one to move, though, Johnny Farr from Suriname, but not too far. Just trying to get onto the wheel of Hoogland and fighting against the 6'6" tall Yakovlev. That's always going to be a tough battle to try and win. Now Yakovlev goes. Huge man down the back straight. They'll come round to get one lap to go. And Yamasaki will come to the bell first, or will it be Yakovlev? Yakovlev wins out into the final lap now. They've been going for a long way, and Yakovlev down the back straight. Johnny Farr trying to come around the outside. The tallest and the shortest in this race, head to head down the finishing straight. And Yakovlev will finish 7th in the men's Keirin. Johnny Farr finishes 8th with Kamasaki 9th, and Jeff Hoogland in 10th place.
The 7-12 final with Giant Tarswick and Nicholas Paul.
He made the commitment early, Mikhail Yakovlev, and was strong enough to hold on. Kento Yamasaki tried to fight him off, but Yakovlev over the top. Powerful man. 199 centimetres tall, 106 kilograms. Huge man. I have said it before, when he's at full speed though, flying through these bends, he's so tall that his head and his feet seem to be in different time zones. Good ride for him to finish 7th. The race for gold up next now, the men's Keirin final. As we see the confirmation of Yakovlev, Johnny Farr, Yamasaki and Hoogland, with Ansu Tasavwit and also Nicholas Paul unable to take to the start line, but we wish them all the best in their speedy recovery. The race for gold now, though. Matthew Glaetzer, Matthew Richardson, so the two Australians up against Martin Chechman from Czechia, Kaya Ota from Japan, Sam Dakin from New Zealand, and Trinidad and Tobago, represented by Kawisi Brown. Opportune ride from Chechman from Czechia in the semi-final. Attacking as soon as the bike came off, opened up a huge margin over the rest of the field, and then held on to finish 3rd and get himself into the race for the medals here. As we see Sam Dakin, Richardson, there's Kawisi Brown, Kaya Ota. Second of the Australians, Matthew Glaetzer. He's the Commonwealth Games Keirin champion. He's won that title twice. And Martin Chechman from Czechia in position number 1. He'll be obligated to follow the motorcycle as it comes through. The electric-powered Derny. Silently approaching. 6 laps of the track. Bike comes off after 3. And we are underway, men's Keirin final. Chechman, position number 1. Glaetzer behind him. Then it's Ota, Brown, Richardson, and Sam Dakin in the black colours with the silver fern of New Zealand in position number 6. Matthew Richardson, second at the World Championships last year in Glasgow, the 24-year-old from Perth in Western Australia, now resides in Adelaide, but proud member of the very strong Midland Cycling Club coming through the early days over in Perth. He was 5th in the Keirin in Adelaide a month ago at the Track Nations Cup. Kaya Ota, he was 3rd in the Adelaide Keirin, but he was the winner of the sprint. He got the better of Matthew Richardson, Kaya Ota, in the sprint final in Adelaide, the first round of the UCI Track Nations Cup. Heads on swivels to see if anything's coming from behind as the bike comes off. 3 laps to go, and Dakin is the first to move from 6th position right up around the outside. Nance Kawisi Brown from Trinidad and Tobago, happy to take over that lead position from Dakin. And a real move and a fight now. Shoulder to shoulder as Matthew Glaetzer comes past. Richardson, the second of the Australians, a little bit further back, but Kaya Ota in 2nd position. Dakin loses out into 4th, but has he? Still fighting against Richardson. Glaetzer leads into the final lap. Kaya Ota from Japan in a fantastic position for him. Richardson trying to come past Glaetzer for 2nd, but it's Japan all the way. Kaya Ota gets the win in the Keirin. That was a strong ride from the Japanese star. Matthew Richardson just gets over the top of Glaetzer to finish 2nd, but a perfect setup from Kaya Ota. Tactically brilliant, and he had the speed and the power to finish it off and get gold. A lot of support for the Japanese team here in Hong Kong, China. Every time they've performed well, the crowd have really been up and about. And getting into 2nd position there behind Glaetzer, that was absolutely perfect. And we saw him do this, winning the sprint in Adelaide last month. Give him a shot, and he will take it all the way. Nice wheel stand across the line. Great showman. Kaya Ota wins gold in the men's Keirin. Spectacular win there for Kaya Ota. Talking about after the women's team won the Madison, how their endurance group have really come on so strong in the last couple of years. Their sprinters have always been there or thereabouts because of the professional Keirin program that develops so many pure sprinters. However, they have also increased their performances in the last 12 months. And Kaya Ota, an absolute star in the making. Winner in Adelaide of the sprint competition, and now winning the Keirin at the 2nd round of the UCI Track Nations Cup. See so many of those Japanese flags throughout the Keirin discipline here. They do have their trade team represented, so they're allowed through that process to have a few extra riders on the start list. They have the depth of talent to have them all really in the hunt to make the finals. So many great races that the crowd have been able to watch. And we have had the youth competition also here in the afternoon program. We have their presentations coming up, and once again they were on the track this afternoon. We weren't broadcasting the afternoon program, but so good to have the youth women's out on the track, and also the youth men. A lot more riders in the youth men's race, but they're all under 17 riders. So next generation of Hong Kong cyclists getting the opportunity during the Track Nations Cup. I said it last night as well, if you were watching, not to be underestimated how inspirational it is for these young riders to be on the same track during a Track Nations Cup. And Law Ching Q came away with the points race win this afternoon. 18 points in the end, ahead of Chung Sing Tung on 11. And those two riders, the only ones to stay on the lead lap. Some points were gained by the Ho Wing Chai in 3rd place, but she unfortunately did go 1 lap down, losing 20 points. And that's her now, Ho Wing Chai, 3rd place. We saw her getting a bronze medal yesterday as well in the scratch race for the women's youth competition. Chong Sin Tong, a silver medal for her in the youth women's points race. And taking out gold on 18 points this afternoon, it was Law Ching Q. smaller crowd in the afternoon program with all the qualifying events. All the medals are on offer in the races with the elites tonight. But to have the youth riders come out during the evening program, during the broadcast, to have their medal presentation, it's such a wonderful thing to do.
2024年 UCI 國家盃場地單車賽，中國香港站籌委會委員葉偉文先生。
Young riders getting a lovely collection of cuddly toys and medals now.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, your
Lord
applause
Chin
for our champion and
gold medal in the women's youth points race. 7-point lead over Chung Sing Tung. And Ho Wing Chi with minus 11 points, the best of the rest. 6 riders in the youth women's race this afternoon. Bigger field in the youth men. We'll see their presentation in just a moment. We'll check out the highlights from their points race also before we do their ceremony.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the awards ceremony of the 2024 Tissot UCI Nations Cup in Hong Kong, China.
佢咧就係代表第一個中途追刺圈咧就係出現啦，睇到咧就係前面 R3 車隊咧就係同 Supernova 車隊嘅車手咧就係爭緊呢個5分喎。
The youth men's event, points race, same as it was for youth women.
就係黑色頭盔、黑色褲、黃色邊嘅咧就係 Power Asia 嘅車手，後面跟住佢咧就係梁安迪咧就係攞到個子少年記分賽嘅冠軍啊！最後一隻彎啊，後面主集團咧都仲未追到咧就係阮天朗啊！阮天朗咧最後咧就係贏得咧就係男子少年記分賽嘅冠軍，喺度咧就係恭喜咧就係409號嘅阮天朗。
Championship races.
And we can see the overall points and the winner on 15. Double points for the final sprint. So he was on 5 coming into that final sprint, and then they gave him the overall win. But picking up the bronze medal in the youth men's points race, Chung Sumi on 7 points. And a real spread of riders within the points. 17 riders in total, and 11 of them getting into the points throughout those sprints. Silver medal went to Li Wan Chun on 9, and Yuen Tin Long, 15 points, and a gold medal for him.
Race doctor of the 2024 UCI Track Nations Cup Hong Kong, China.
紀念品將由以下嘉賓頒發。2024 UCI 國家盃場地單車賽中國香港站大會醫生
I'm sure our gold medalist is smiling on the inside. The youngster, a little bit starstruck. Li Wan Chun, silver medalist. He won the scratch race yesterday for the youth riders. So silver medal for him in the points race here tonight. 9 points. 6 points was the difference, and the final double point sprint was the big difference maker. Yuen Tin Long claiming the 10 points in the final sprint, putting him up to 15 and winning the point race. We will have the women's Madison victory ceremony up next.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this presentation.
And with no deciders needed in the women's sprint finals, do only have the men's Omnium points race, the final discipline, to finish the racing off. Then we'll see the men's Keirin women's sprint and then the men's Omnium ceremonies to finish off the night.
各位先生、女士，2024 UCI 國家盃場地單車賽中國香港站頒獎禮。 即將開始。
This is the award ceremony for the women's Madison final.
So women's Madison victory ceremony. What a great race that was. Absolutely sensational, right down to the final sprint. It did look as if New Zealand and the Netherlands were the two teams that were duking it out, picking up the most points. But just the overall strength of Team Rakuten Keirin nailing the final sprint as well to get the double points. Bronze medal, though, that went to the Netherlands. Hard-fought battle from them. They won the first two sprints. Then they disappeared for a couple of the next sprints before they then came back into contention. Marit Rijmakers and Lisa van Bel combining well to pick up the bronze medal for the Netherlands in the women's Madison.
The Netherlands. Represented by Marit Rijmakers and Lisa van Bel.
The Netherlands have been such a successful team at World Championship level in previous years. And that continues. Silver medal went to New Zealand. Bryony Botha and Emily Shearman.
In first place and winners of
7-point lead going into the final sprint and then drop down to second position because of the performance by this combination. Team Rakuten Keirin's Mayo Kakita and Soikaka Uchino.
The gifts will be presented by Mr. Yan Lai.
Took a lap on their own. That was then followed by the combination of New Zealand and the Netherlands also gaining a lap. It did look as if the other two teams were going to run away with it until we saw that final incredible acceleration from Kakita and Uchino in the final sprint to win the double points on offer and get the win by 1 point over New Zealand. .54 points was the winning tally in the end, 53 for New Zealand and 49 for Netherlands. Commendable ride by Switzerland, finishing 4th on 18, just 1 point ahead of Ireland on 17. And then it was Italy, 6th place for them, 9 points. 7th was Czechia, and were down on 1 point. There were 3 teams on 1 point. It was Uzbekistan and also Denmark, 7th, 8th and 9th. And 3 teams on 0 points. 10th place to Hong Kong, China. So good solid ride from the home team. Mexico, 0 points on 11th. And the Japanese national team down in 12th place, no points for them. Tashkent City Track Team, China, and the alltricks.com sprinter team, all those 3 teams, unfortunately, unable to complete the distance.
So one race still to come here this evening, ladies and gentlemen, to decide the result of the men's Omnium. The men's Omnium points race will be on to the track shortly.
They have everything to be happy about. Such a solid ride. Kakita and Uchino. That'll be a dangerous combination at the Olympic Games. Not sure which of the riders from the different nations will be heading to Milton. Many of them, especially the ones that are desperately hunting for those final spots in the allocations by the IOC for the Paris Olympic Games. That is, the final selection is done, final quotas and the point scoring is cut off at the end of Milton. So within a day or so from that, everyone knows exactly where they stand and whether they'll have positions in all of the races or not in Paris. They are really tightening up on the number of riders, both road and track, that are allowed to be a part of the Olympic competition. Makes it really challenging. Team sprint, a lot of the nations use 4 riders, swapping riders out through the rounds. Only allowed to take 3 to the Olympic competition. Team pursuit, often using 5, even sometimes 6 riders. They're only allowed to take 4 to the Olympic Games, so it becomes really challenging on how they manage that. Some do have the benefit of selecting riders for the endurance events in the road team. As long as they do the road race and they are qualified to do so, they then can switch across to the track. It's not the way it is for the sprinters, though. So it becomes really challenging.
On 70 points is Tim Loeffler of Austria.
And there is the leader of the men's Omnium coming on to the track, just waiting. He's keen, he's eager. He's got on there before his bike has. But Oscar Nilsen Julien from France leads the way. Men's Omnium points race, the 4th and final discipline within the Omnium event. We've seen how hard fought all of the races have been, but we see Oscar leading on 1:14 ahead of Kojima, 1:06 from Japan, the world champion Leitao, 1:02. And then it's Hesters, Mori, Gate, and Peretz with a little bit of work to do. So they've had the 3 races so far racing for the points of 40, 38, 36, and so on. When they come into the Madison, their overall standing points is what they start the points race with. So a nice handy lead there for Nilsen Julien from France. But what it does, often the tactics become the lead 3 or 4 riders start to really focus on each other. And that allows 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, the riders that are further down in the overall classification to go on the attack and gain laps on the field. You get 20 points every time you do that. So if you are a really strong rider and sitting down in 6th, 7th, 8th or below, there's a real opportunity to take multiple laps on the field with the top riders really focusing on each other. So there's a big chance to move right up in the overall standings. If you are strong enough, knowing that all of these riders have so much fatigue in the legs now, if you can go on the attack, there might not be too many riders strong enough to try and chase things down. There's the world champion. William Peretz from Great Britain, winner of the elimination last night. So Kai Kung from Hong Kong, plenty of support from the home crowd for him. Went a fair way into the elimination, but certainly there was some sighs of disappointment when he finally was eliminated. Not putting in a good solid performance so far. Unfortunately though, down in 23rd and last position on 6 points. Can he climb up though here in the points race? Colby Lang on the right there for the USA. He's in 14th place on 48 points. He was third in the opening scratch race and then faded a little bit from then on. Barrett from Great Britain. He sits in 7th on 70 points. So really close between Jules Hesters in 4th on 76. Sebastian Mora, Aaron Gate, Will Perrott, Graham Frisley, Tim Wuffler in 9th on 70. So only 6 points between those riders. So it's going to be a real final tight battle between those to see where they can finish up overall. So 8 points is the leading margin for Oscar Nilsen Julien from France over Naoki Kojima from Japan, I should say. And then it's Louis Leitao, the world champion from Portugal, in 3rd place. He's 4 points further back. So 12 points from the gold medal at the moment for the world champion. Then it's a fairly sizable margin back to 76 points with Jules Hesters and Sebastian Mora. 33 points is Aaron Gate after that disastrous elimination by his standards. But he is the world points race champion. So look out for the New Zealander in this one. He's in 6th place. He's 3 points ahead of 3 riders tied on 70. That's William Perrott from Great Britain, Graham Frisley from Australia, and Tim Waffler from Austria. Rounding out the top 10, Aya Hashimoto on 66. We are underway, the final discipline within the 4-discipline event known as the Omnium. It's a 100-lap points race. Same system as we saw in the women's Madison. Sprint every 10 laps for 5, 3, 2 and 1 point. Double points on offer for that final sprint. And we are underway after the first neutralised lap to get up to full speed. Bunches all together. Jules Hesters, Graham Frisley, Waffler. First, second, third down the back straight. So there's the overall point standings. Who can make the move from further down and go on the attack? Aaron Gate is a rider with the pedigree to take multiple laps, as he did that to win the points race at the Worlds in Glasgow last year. However, he's such a marked rider. They know how strong he is, the New Zealander. If he goes on the attack, there are plenty of riders that will be desperate to try and go with him. And that could shut those moves down.
100 laps off the track. So much racing on today.
Roger Kluge from Germany comes through.
Great racing from our field here.
Who still has the energy and the strength to leave a mark in on this Omnium race?
Down the track now. He's got Colby Lang on his wheel. Then Laura Vedri, then Hesters, and then
Colby Lang and Sebastian Mora, once again, just following the first rider up the track, as he did so often in the scratch race to open up the Omnium series. Frisley up through and up, then it's Tim Waffler from Austria. A little acceleration there from Frisley just to squeeze open a couple of gaps in the peloton as he now drifts down high on the track towards the back of the field. 95 laps to go. And Frisley drops in behind Sokai Kung.
What they will be trying to do is move themselves up.
And a real acceleration from Roger Kluge this time.
For qualification in Paris 2024. As the move starts to go off the front.
And 2 riders. So Kluge joined by Bertold Driver from Hungary. Also Francesco Lamont from Italy joining them. So 3 riders that are a long way down in the overall standings. So the top riders, you can see visibly not that interested in this group off the front, and this is what I was talking about. Creates opportunities for riders that are a fair way down to go and take laps, gain the 20 points that are on offer. And they can really move themselves up. But of these 3, it's Francesco Lamont that is the highest placed. He's only on 42. Gain a lap, he goes to 62. He only moves from 15th to 11th place. So no danger in the overall classification having these riders off the front as they come into the first of our intermediate sprints. Simon Witztum from Switzerland just gets onto the back of the group now, and Roger Kluge will come through to pick up the 5. So Kluge down in 18th place on 34. So there are 4 riders off the front, half a lap ahead of the peloton. None of them in danger of challenging for the medals at the moment.
To share the points on that first one.
Kluge, Lamont, Witztum and Driver. Working in good team pursuit formation though. And you can see half a lap up to the back of the peloton, which is what they'll be trying to get to. But there has been a real push back in the field itself, and it's the overall leader from France that's really put some pressure on. So we focus on the 4 in front. They're doing good even terms of pace, but the field is really starting to shatter. You can see that group that have just gone off the front, that was all forced by Oscar Nilsen Julien, the overall leader. Really is proving to be the strongest rider in this field, the Frenchman. 6 riders now off the front of the field. And they are very rapidly closing in on this lead group of 4. 84 laps to go as they come around this time. And the race is split into 3. The group of 4 chased by 6, including the overall leader. The world champion is there as well, Aaron Gate. So the top 3 riders. The one that has missed out is Jules Hesters. Hesters and Sebastian Mora sitting in 4th and 5th. They are both back in the main field. The 4 still on their merry way out in front. Nice even turns of pace, and it does look as if there's going to be a regrouping from the peloton itself. The chase group at 82 laps to go. They are not going to catch the leaders in time for this next sprint. And the peloton have come back together. You can see the top of the screen as we get the bell for 81 laps to go. Second sprint will be contested by these 4 riders. Roger Kluge picked up the first of the sprints. Witztum from Switzerland. He was the last rider to jump across and putting a little bit of a gap into Berthold Driver. So Witztum gets the 5 points. Driver from Hungary picks up the 3. Kluge on 2. And Lamont from Italy, the Olympic team pursuit champion. 1 point for him. So lots of attacks while this is happening back in the main field. Of course, no one back there picking up any points, with the 4 riders in front gobbling up all of the points on offer so far.
Jules Hesters. I'd say there'll be a number of people just launching themselves off the front of the group now once they see 1 or 2 of the riders.
So Oscar Nilsson from France, happy with this scenario. All of the points that have been on offer have gone to riders that are not in contention. So Naoki Kojima unable to close that margin to Nilsson. Likewise for the world champion Louis Leitao from Portugal. He has 12 points to overcome, at least, to get up to Nilsson, depending on what Nilsson can do himself in these sprints. And Berthold Driver from Hungary unable to contribute equally now out in that group in front. And you can see, to the disgust of Francesco Lamont, gesturing to Driver to push through, contribute. And you can see Lamont having to go over the top of Berthold just to close the gap. So now 3 riders in front, with Driver sitting behind these 3, with Colby Lang and also Dennis Rugovac, that have been caught by the breakaway group. Dropped from the peloton and caught by the breakaway group. And Berthold Driver has swung up and gone back to the field. So that leaves 3 riders out in front. Still plenty of pace on in the peloton though. And that has split in 2. Looking to see who has lost out. 72 laps to go. Another sprint's going to come next time. And as that group down the bottom goes through, there has been a big push from Aaron Gate to get across to that chase group. So there's a real desperation situation happening back in the main field as we focus on the first 3. Roger Kluge comes through to the bell. Simon Witztum, Francesco Lamont down the back straight. Jules Hesters is not far from catching these 3 out in front. Kluge will pick up the 5 points. Witztum from Switzerland 3, then it's Lamont, and just popping over the top of Hesters for the final point on offer was Graham Frisley, the Aussie. And missing from this group, we can now see, as the breakaway has been caught, is the world champion, Leitao. He is caught in the group just behind and desperately trying to catch back on. Aaron Gate going on the attack, the points race world champion. I've been expecting something from Gate, such a strong and powerful rider in this format. And here he goes. The world champion has now just caught the back of the field. and the peloton have swung up. This is an incredible opportunity for Aaron Gate. He's on his own. He's going past lapped riders. He'll come around to get 65 laps to go. Aaron Gate leads the way. He sits in 6th place on 73 points, desperately trying to move up. 20 points, of course, to gain a lap on the field. He's had to go right up, high up around Berthold Driver. He won't be too pleased with having to do that. And he's already half a lap up on the peloton. As he comes across the start-finish line, it's less than half a lap to the rear of the field now. There's the overall leader, Oscar Nilsson Julian. At the moment, Aaron Gate is not too much of a concern to Oscar. Gate not too far from completing this lap gain. The 20 points that he'll get, he goes from 73 up to 93. So not threatening the gold medal position, but that's starting to get really close to Luri Leitao from Portugal, the world champion in the Omnium that sits in 3rd place. Aaron is just backing off a little bit. He gets 62 laps to go as he comes through, and he's hoping to hold on to get this next sprint. Always a danger though, peloton accelerating, and he was almost at the back of the bunch, and you can see how that gap has opened up under the acceleration of the peloton. Now the bell sounds, 61 laps to go. Aaron Gate will pick up the 5 points on offer. Will he then desperately try and get to the back of the field and gain the lap, get the 20 points? The peloton themselves come through to get their bell now, and it's the overall leader in Oscar Nilsson Julien that's leading the field. Gate gets the 5 points. Now accelerating back towards the main field now, and it is Nilsson that gets the 3 points as they come through. So that's really handy for Oscar Nilsson Julien. Extends his overall lead. Aaron Gate, though, just coming up to Rugovac. Rugovac is on the elastic band at the back of the field. So Gate comes through and makes contact. Have they determined that? Because there is now a split. There's Aaron Gate right at the very back. Goes past Rugovac, goes past Driver from Hungary. And they are still indicating that he's leading the race. He has not been given the lap gain just yet. And now it will all come back together. So Aaron Gate does get the lap gain, 20 points plus the 5 in that sprint. So another 25 points, and he goes to 78 and goes up to 4th place. 98, sorry. 98 points, 4th place now for Aaron Gate. Fantastic move for the New Zealander.
Is only 8 points away from the silver medal and puts himself right back in the mix to get on the podium.
So 4 points behind the bronze medal position is Gate. Leitao and Kojima have not moved. They're both on 106, then 102. Aaron Gate up to 98. 54 laps to go. Plenty of track time for Aaron Gate to make another move up onto the podium. 3 riders have just jumped off the front. Sebastian Mora from Spain has gone. William Perrott and also Jules Hesters. 3 strong riders. This could be dangerous. Roger Kluge from Germany trying to come across. There's Kluge. The world champ on the front of the group, but not closing it down. Aaron Gate, you can see in the black colours, leading the peloton. So he's looking to shut this move down. He does not want Hesters and Mora to come back into contention. So far, everything is going perfectly for Oscar Nilsson Julien from France. 51 laps to go. Gate finds himself lobbed on the front. Here comes the Frenchman. Overall leader slops into 2nd position. Doesn't need to put up too much of a fight versus Gate. He's going to increase his overall lead by finishing 2nd here. So Gate gets 5 more points, and that will put him tied in the bronze medal spot. So Aaron Gate is the big mover. tentatively balancing in position number 3. But the race that he's head-to-head against, the rider he's head-to-head against has just gone on the attack. The world champion, Lei Tao. Peter Moore from the USA trying to go with him. 48 laps to go. Aya Hashimoto from Japan. And the big chase is now happening from Nielsen. What can Peter Moore do to contribute? One turn of pace from Moore. The 25-year-old world champion from Portugal has given up on that, and as does Peter Moore. So a little moment of desperation, but it all has come back together. Oscar Nielsen-Julien leads the way on 120. 12 points is his lead now over Naoki Kojima from Japan. And then we are tied for bronze. Lei Tao and Gate, 103 each. Now the next rider back in 5th place is Sebastian Mora. That's the man just swinging up there from Spain, and he's on 77. So a big gap back to 5th. Only 1 point behind him is Jules Hesters from Belgium. And both of those riders, Mora and Hesters, find themselves in this group of 4 off the front. Hashimoto, 43 laps to go, leads through. Then it's Mora, then it's Perrott and Hesters. So 5th, 6th and 8th in the standings in this group of 4 off the front, with Hashimoto, who sits in 10th place. Gap really starting to open up. 41 to go. Sebastian Mora leads them through. William Perrott in 2nd position. Saw a rider flash on the bottom of the screen. That's Naoki Kojima. So 2nd place overall. Won't get any points this time. Mora will pick up the 5 points ahead of Perrott, Hesters and Hashimoto, but a big move from Naoki Kojima from Team Bridgestone. So that's the rider just popping onto the back now. The 5th rider at 39 laps to go. Sits in 2nd place overall. That has caused a big reaction from Oscar Nielsen-Julien from France. And he's gone off the front of the peloton, desperately trying to get in touch with Kojima out in front. There he is in the blue colours for France. Group of 5 now off the front. And this is the first time that I have seen Nielsen starting to struggle. He has not been able to bridge the gap. There he is, swinging up as he gets caught by Lei Tao and Gate. 2 good guys to catch up with you, that's for sure. Now Aaron Gate dragging Nielsen forward, and you can see Nielsen-Julien unable to contribute. So 5 riders in front, including the silver medal position, Kojima. Gold, bronze, and the pairing of riders in the bronze medal position, Lei Tao and Gate, chasing down. You can see the peloton going through, so while this has all happened, the peloton themselves find themselves in a position where they are about to lose another lap. So 20 points will be on offer for all of these riders in the front. This is the group of 5, including Kojima. That's him in 2nd position. Rides for the Bridgestone team in Japan. And the chasing 3 now, catching the lead group of 5. 8 riders in front. They'll come around to get 33 laps to go. So they're not desperately trying to take a lap on the field now. It's all the contenders together. They are focusing on this next sprint, though. That's important. Hashimoto leads Aaron Gate. Then it's Oscar Nielsen-Julien. Jules Hesters. Lei Tao, the world champion. Hesters goes through. And they'll get the bell the next time. Not too far from the back of the field. As long as they get the bell signalling that they are on their sprint lap before they catch the peloton, then they will be racing for the points this time. And they are giving them now the bell. So as they come through, Jules Hester's leads. Very important for the minor placings. Hester's, Mora, Perrett, and then it's the overall leader from France, Nielsen. But Hester's will pick up the 5 points. That'll put him up into the 80s. We'll see how the dust settles after that sprint, but a strong ride there from Jules Hester's from Belgium. And with that acceleration, they have gone through the peloton and will be all given 20 extra points for doing so. Now the riders that just came through at the bottom there, here they are. They are the leaders on the track at the moment. With that large group lapping the field, these two were trying to chase behind them and then found themselves in a position where they might be able to pick up some points here. Tobias Hansen from Denmark and Dennis Rugovac from Czechia. 26 laps to go. And the 20 points have been added now. So we can see where we stand. 141 points for Oscar Nielsen Julien. 128 for Naoki Kojima. Louis Leitao on 123, equal with Aaron Gate. Neither of those riders able to get into the points in that last sprint. So with 3 sprints to go, we are tied in the bronze medal position. They are very close to Kojima, though, in silver. And Nielsen still holding a very handy buffer. 2 leaders off the front. Then a group of 6 that are behind them. The peloton now coming through the bottom of the screen. But this is an interesting situation because we have Aaron Gate in this breakaway group. That is the chase group that's just at the top of the screen now. So the 2 leaders to the left, then it's the chase group that includes Aaron Gate. As they come into this next sprint, 21 laps to go. Hansen and Rugovac lead down the back straight. Then it's the chase group that includes a really dangerous rider in Aaron Gate, the New Zealander. This is the race for first across the line. 5 points going to Hansen. Mora picks up the 2 points. And this is going to change everything in the overall standings, though, because Aaron Gate can get a sniff here of the peloton. They are not too far from gaining a lap on the field. Another 20 points going into the pocket of Aaron Gate. He was tied up until that previous sprint in 3rd place with Louis Leitao, and that is all about to change. So Gate put himself into outright 3rd by getting 4th in that last sprint, the 1 point that was on offer. But he's now going to have another 20 points, and he'll go right up to 144 points and the outright lead. And while that has all happened, another attack off the front. Nielsen Julien joined by Kojima and Leitao. So this is going to be put all the pressure back onto Aaron Gate to try and shut this one down. They have not allocated the 20-point lap gain for those riders just yet, but it will be Gate that is in the overall lead, and he is now on the front of the peloton, chasing down this group off the front. So Oscar Nielsen Julien, Kojima, also Wittstrom, and then the world champion Leitao. 4 riders versus 1, and at the moment it's the one solo New Zealander that is chasing them down. They're going to be caught by the Kiwi. Well, it was a disastrous elimination race for Aaron Gate, but he has fought back so strongly here in this final points race in the Omnium. And the judges still madly trying to calculate the points tallies. But Aaron Gate is putting himself into an incredible position here to try and take the title. 2 more sprints to come. They'll come around now to get 12 laps to go. Sebastian Mora leads through. William Perrott, then it's Leitao and Kojima. Finally, they are putting the points up for the lap that was gained. And Aaron Gate does go to 144 and a 3-point outright lead over Oscar Nilsen Julien as we come into the penultimate sprint. William Perrott leads Jules Hesters down the back straight. Oscar Nilsen Julien trying to get himself back up into the points and get that overall lead back again, but popping up over the top is Kojima. So 5 points going to Kojima. I think Nilsen may have picked up 3rd place, 2 points perhaps for him. And it's a 1-point bike race coming into the final sprint. Wow, how much can change in the final discipline of the Omnium, the points race. Aaron Gate leads by 1. He's now on the attack again. He's been chased by the man in silver position, Nilsen from France. He's led all the way through from winning the scratch race. Now he finds himself 1 solitary point back from the gold after an incredibly strong performance from the world points race champion, Aaron Gate from New Zealand. Naoki Kojima sits in 3rd. He has 6 points over the next rider to make a big move in Sebastian Mora from Spain. So the world champion Leitao drops down to 6th place, with Mora and Hesters moving ahead of him.
That changes everything as they head towards the finish. Then Kojima on 133.
Big move. Large group have gone off the front.
So Aaron Gate leads the bike race.
Now, Oscar Nilsen Julien, he needs points in this final sprint. He's 1 point off the lead. Aaron Gate, he's quite happy to let all of the points go up the road. 1 point margin going into the final sprint, double points on the final effort. But if all the points have been taken up by this group, he'll be happy with that.
So the 6 riders who are launching themselves off the front here.
So Hashimoto, Frisley, Pina, Perrott, Moore. They are the riders off the front. Also, Arango from Colombia. Double points in the final sprint. But with this group away, the overall position is not going to change. This is tactical genius that has fallen into the lap of Aaron Gate. He's being shadowed at the moment by the man in the silver medal position, Oscar Nilsen Julien from France. Julien desperately needs points. He's not going to get any while this group's off the front, and they have 2 laps to go. So the points in this final double point sprint are going to be taken by this group out in front. So the overall standings are not going to change. Aaron Gate, as they come to the bell, is going to win the gold medal in the Omnium. It's Peter Moore that leads through. Aya Hashimoto from Japan coming up around the outside. There's the world champion leading the peloton through. But it's not going to change anything this final sprint. The overall standings will be as it sits at the moment, as Hashimoto comes through to pick up the 10 points. He'll move up the standings, but we know who wins, and that is Aaron Gate. Extraordinary. 1 point in the end, but with no points on offer from the top contenders in that final sprint. Aaron Gate comes away with gold in the Omnium. Real brilliant performance from him ahead of Oscar Nilsen Julien from France. Naoki Kojima, he finishes in 3rd place. Great solid performance from the rider from Japan. And just waiting for the final confirmation with Hashimoto winning the final sprint. He may indeed move up into 4th place, just ahead of Sebastian Mora. So wait for confirmation. But the man that led through the first 3 disciplines and virtually right down to the final 20 laps, was Oscar Nilsson Julien, and then it was snatched away by Aaron Gate in the final throw. 1 point win there for the sensational New Zealander. The World Points Race champion wins the Omnium in the points race. I flagged that possibility before we started, or very early on, that riders are a little bit further down in the overall classification tend to get that opportunity to gain laps. Now, he's a marked man, Aaron Gate. However, he was just so strong in the end. And there was not much or nothing that the rest could do to stop him. Flick of the elbow from Aaron Gate to William Perrott, but unfortunately for Will, didn't have the strength to go through and contribute. So the final race on the second night of competition here at the UCI Track Nations Cup in Hong Kong, China. The men's Omnium taken out by the super strong Kiwi, Aaron Gate. Narrowest of margins over Julien Oscar Nilsson. He really did impress me throughout this competition. And Naoki Kojima, just adding to the medal haul that the Japanese have put on here in Hong Kong, China. It's amazing. Final confirmation there with Kojima in third. Sebastian Mora did indeed hold on to fourth place. Hashimoto picked up the 10 points, but I wasn't sure if they had added that to his tally when I saw the 117. Indeed, they had. So he stays down there in 8th place. Jules Hesters finishes 5th for Belgium. He was 1 point ahead of the world champion Luri Leitao from Portugal. So a solid ride there from Hesters to get over the top of the world champ. And from Great Britain, William Perrott does finish in 7th on 122 points. Really close between Hesters, Leitao and Perrott, 124, 123 and 122 points. 8th place, Aya Hashimoto. Tobias Hansen in 9th for Denmark. And Peter Moore from the USA, after finishing 2nd in the scratch race, finished off the Omnium really well. He came 10th in the end, just ahead of Graham Frisley from Australia in 11th.
The awards ceremony for the men's Keirin.
He would have been hopeful of getting that win in the end. Nice buffer coming into it, but you can see the smile from Oscar. He's pleased with silver. Men's Keirin victory ceremony now. What a fantastic Keirin final that was.
The medals will be presented by Miss Yuan Yuan, UCI member of Management Committee.
And the medals dominated by the Southern Hemisphere. Oh, Japan, just slightly in the north, I should say. But Sam Dakin from New Zealand getting the bronze. So a solid ride from Sam. 27-year-old from Auckland. He was 11th in Adelaide, so a great step up for Dakin to finish third. Matthew Glaetzer, silver medal for him, the big Australian, 31 years of age.
In first place,
two-time Commonwealth Games Keirin gold medalist. But the 24-year-old from Okayama in Japan, Kaya Ota, putting in an incredible final lap dash to win the men's Keirin. He was third in Adelaide in the Keirin discipline, stepping up to gold this time. He did win the sprint over Matthew Richardson a month ago in Adelaide. And they have their sprint tomorrow, the final day of racing here in Hong Kong.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, please show your applause for our champion and medalist.
Kaya Ota, Matthew Glaetzer and Sam Dakin, men's Keirin medalists. At the end of the first night of competition, it was Great Britain that led on 2 gold medals. Japan had 1 gold and 2 silver. Australia, New Zealand and Denmark also with 1 gold medal each. And tonight, Japan have really stepped up. A couple of golds tonight, the women's Madison and now the Keirin. Great Britain adding to their tally also with Emma Finucane in the elite women's sprint. New Zealand add another gold medal to their tally, so they go ahead of Australia.
The awards ceremony for the women's sprint.
Women's sprint presentation about to happen now. Fantastic shot of this sensational velodrome here in Hong Kong. Hosted the World Championships in 2017. And now the victory ceremony for the women's sprint. Bronze medal going to the silver medalist at the World Championships last year in this discipline, Lea-Sophie Friedrich from Germany. Getting the better of Hetty van der Waal in the race for bronze. Van der Waal from the Netherlands. And the 2022 Sprint World Champion from France, Mathilde Gros. Silver medal for her this time. From the south of France. And the world champion, fittingly, winning the gold medal here in the UCI Track Nations Cup, Emma Finucane. Fastest qualifier. Did lose 1 race in the semi-finals to Friedrich. Only blip on the result sheet for her. And then came straight back to win gold, 2 straight races. Only 21. So much more to come from the young world champion. And what a year to be hitting such good form. Winning the Worlds on the home track in Glasgow last year. And now coming into 2024 in fine form. Winning the 2nd Track Nations Cup. All 3 riders with Paris Olympic Games as a big focus, of course, later in the season. End of July into August. The world's largest sporting event. It's going to be sensational in Paris. Emma Finucane, Mathilde Gros and Lea-Sophie Friedrich. The fastest women's sprinters here in Hong Kong, China. That leaves us with 1 presentation ceremony now to come. And incredible to think that the endurance men can have such a quick turnaround after what has been a brutal 4-discipline competition for them, finishing with the most difficult race.
Yeah, it feels amazing.
Emma Finucane, what a champion.
After Adelaide, I had a few things I wanted to work on, so coming into this racing, I didn't really know where I'd be at, but yeah, I put together some really good rides, and I'm really, really proud of like how tactically I pulled it off. And yeah, I'm really proud, and this means everything to me, especially coming into an Olympic year, and I couldn't have done anything else, to be honest.
So congratulations, thank you very much, thank you, thank you, thank you.
A young lady in a hurry, Emma Finucane, the world champ, setting herself up nicely for the rest of the season. And the men's Omnium victory ceremony now. It's the UCI Track Nations Cup here in Hong Kong, China, proudly presented by Tissot Timing. And timing it better than anyone, simply because he had the strength, was Aaron Gate, to come from a fair way down after that elimination debacle to then rectify that situation and still win. That was an extraordinary comeback from the Kiwi. Team Bridgestone for Japan, Naoki Kojima with the bronze medal. finishing on 133 points. 10 points behind Oscar Nielsen-Julien from France in silver.
Representing France, Oscar Nielsen-Julien.
And here is the Frenchman getting his silver medal. He really did impress tonight. Very strong performances throughout all of these disciplines. In the end, it took the world points race champion to snatch the gold medal away from him, though. Aaron Gate, 1 point victory margin in the end, and the double point sprint to finish off the final event was not required. So it worked out perfectly tactically for the New Zealander.
紀念品將由以下嘉賓頒發。中國香港單車總會主席梁鴻德先生 MH。
Can expect a lot from Oscar Nielsen-Julien coming forward. He did impress, not as much as Aaron Gate, but Aaron in his 30s. There's a lot more to come from Nielsen-Julien. But Aaron Gate takes the gold medal here in the final event of the second day of competition. We wrap things up tomorrow. And then the riders will start to focus in 1 month's time towards Milton in Canada, just outside of Toronto. Final opportunity to get their qualifying points required for the Paris Olympic Games. For the endurance riders, the top 10 team pursuit teams qualify automatically a spot in the Madison and in the Omnium. So for all those other nations that are not in the top 10 in the team pursuit competition, they desperately are chasing points in these events in the Nations Cups to get those spots in the Madison and the Omnium qualified.
Safe travels home.
That's what's on offer for the final day here. Kicking off nice and early at 9 AM with the men's sprint qualifying. And we're not broadcasting the early heats and qualifying races, but the afternoon evening session that starts at 4 PM local time with the women's Omnium scratch race. We'll see the women do their endurance event tomorrow before the men's and the women's sprinters swap positions. The men doing the sprint and the women doing their Keirins tomorrow. And then we'll see the men's Madison as well. So a great edition of the women's Madison, won by Japan tonight. We'll see what happens in the men's Madison. And we'll finish things off with the women's Omnium points race, as we did with the men's points race tonight. That's slightly earlier start to the program for the final day. We will have an opportunity, though, before we wrap things up here, to hear from Aaron Gate. I'm hoping. Always good to hear from the champion. Well, that does wrap things up, the second day of competition. Make sure you tune in for the final day here in Hong Kong, China. It's the UCI Track Nations Cup presented by Tissot. Reminder, local time, we are starting from 4 PM, so slightly earlier start to finish things off here in Sunday. Looking forward to your company. Thanks for joining us. It's been a great first 2 days, and we have one massive final day still to come. Hopefully you can join us.